country of Japan and trying to gain an influence, trying to gain a foothold.
That's TWR's Ethan Coe. I'm Andy Napier, and this is Footsteps from TWR. With so few evangelical Christians in the nation, Japan is considered unreached. And Ethan, that's why TWR must broadcast the gospel in Japan.
So we have received quite a number of responses to our FM broadcasts. And one of the recent ones that we got is from a listener in Akita Prefecture in the north of Japan. And the listener writes, "My family is affiliated with a certain religion, and recently I have been considering leaving the religion. When I discussed this with my parents, they tried to persuade me not to leave, mentioning that punishment would befall me if I didn't keep my affiliation. Personally, I have no attachment to the religion. I dislike the idea of even a trace of it sticking to me. Listening to your program during my morning commute, I find the teachings of Jesus to be genuine and refreshing. I am beginning to consider becoming a Christian if it means placing a light in my heart through faith."
So there are people in Japan who are curious.
Right, definitely. And this is not the first time we've seen a kind of response like this. It's my understanding that there are foreign influences, foreign cults moving into the country of Japan and trying to gain an influence, trying to gain a foothold. And so you have people like this listener here who are questioning what they have been brought up to believe. And then they hear the gospel on the radio, and it kind of changes their worldview, changes everything that they have been taught to believe since they were young.
Japan needs the gospel. To learn more about TWR's outreach to Japan, go to twr.org/footsteps.
Footsteps is a production of TWR.
Recently, Hamas attacked Israel, capturing and killing scores of Israelis. Israel is now responding. I'm Charlie Dyer of The Land and the Book. While you and I are thousands of miles away, we can have an impact on that conflict. We can pray. We can pray for wisdom and for comfort in the lives of those who are now grieving. Most of all, we can pray for peace in the Middle East. We invite the entire Moody Radio family to pause and pray right now. Thank you.
Moody Radio Cleveland, broadcasting since 1958. WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
I just wanted to say thank you for being here.
The White House says it's too soon to say what the attacks in Lebanon and Iran could mean for a potential ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. It's 6 o'clock. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby refused to confirm reports that Israel killed a political leader of Hamas in Iran. Kirby told reporters the Biden administration will continue efforts to secure a ceasefire deal that includes the release of hostages still being held by Hamas. Charges have been filed against a suspect following a shooting outside of an Ohio City church. 3 people were injured in the incident Monday night near St. Malachi Parish. Suspect Rico Samuels Jr. was charged with felonious assault. And cleanup is underway after portions of the old Avon Lake power plant were demolished yesterday morning. The implosions of 2 boilers and a precipitator happened just after 5 a.m. through the use of controlled explosives. I'll have sports and weather in just a moment.
So many ask, why is there human suffering? The book of Job directly addresses that question. And this month, Today in the Word takes readers through an in-depth study of Job in our new devotional, Seeking Answers. Join devotional author Dr. Eric Moore and over 1 million readers for this month's study. Download our free Today in the Word app or go to todayintheword.org. Be encouraged to remain strong in your faith during times of suffering.
In sports, the Pirates lost to the Astros, and the U.S. added 4 more medals at the Paris Olympics, and they continue to sit atop the leaderboard with 30 total medals. That includes 5 gold, 13 silver, and 12 bronze. Now, France is now just 4 behind us with 26 total medals, and China sits third with 19 medals, but they lead the gold race with 9. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then partly sunny with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. It's going to be hot with highs in the lower 90s. And currently, we've got clear skies across the listening area, 71 in Cleveland, 70 in Akron and Canton, 71 in Lorain, Elyria as well.
It's time for your moron moment.
How will you celebrate Spider-Man Day on August 1st? Spider-Man entered the comic book universe in issue 15 of Marvel Comics' Amazing Fantasy in August of 1962. The groundbreaking story caught the attention of readers when it featured an awkward, antisocial teenager as its superhero. And since then, Peter Parker has not aged. If nothing else, Spider-Man has taught us one thing. With great power comes great responsibility. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 6:03. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine studio. It's morning.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
6:07, it's Thursday. Dave Szfranski will be here in 2 hours to answer your financial questions. But it's a moment I've been waiting for at least 24 hours.
I think more than that.
More than that, because I got a text from Lauren, would have been Tuesday afternoon, that said, "You're not going to believe what happened to me at the dentist." And I excitedly said, "You were recognized, right?" Someone's like, "Wait, are you Lauren from Moody Radio?" And you said, "No, that wasn't it."
No, that wasn't it. And that would be so embarrassing. Like, that's the worst place. Like, oh, yeah, sure. Just, like, yeah, put your fingers right on in here. And, yeah.
Ron's been in the biz for a long time.
Look at all my cavities. Look at all my... No.
It can happen anywhere.
Yeah, I was taking Dana to have her knee surgery done several months ago. And as we're walking, or she's being wheeled out of the preparation room to go back, one of the nurses says, "You're Ron? You're Ron Eastwood?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then she grabs another word. This is the guy.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kind of like,
you are the guy.
Yeah. Do you relate to your fans, or do you follow your wife?
That's not hard. Yeah, when I first was here, my son Marshall, within like 6 months of us living here, had a grand mal seizure in his classroom, ended up in the hospital, ended up downtown Rainbow Babies in like the pediatric epilepsy specialty area. And I race down there. I get there. Hi, I'm here to see my son Marshall. Are you Brian?
Not today, I'm not. Where's my son?
Yeah. It's actually a huge relief to know one of the nurses was a listener to the station. But I'm really frustrated that you haven't been recognized yet. This needs to be fixed. Lauren lives in Cuyahoga Falls. Everyone needs to go visit there.
3 places.
Where? Let's hear it.
The library.
Okay.
The splash pads.
Splash pads, okay.
And the wading pools at the park.
Those 3 places in Cuyahoga Falls.
And, of course, the stores like Walmart, Aldi, Meijer. That's about it.
If you go to those
are the
places,
places I go.
Just start hollering out Lauren.
I'm there.
I'd like her to be recognized. All right. With that said, what happened to you at the dentist?
Okay. So I had to get a cavity filled. So I'm getting ready. They put the goggles on. You know, you already feel like a loser because you have those goggles on.
And you have the bib.
Yes, you have the bib.
It's not a cool bib.
And the little goggles. And they lay you back. And you're like, oh, great. And then this little tiny dog comes around. They're like, oh, this is the office dog. And I was like, oh, hi.
I love office dogs.
Yeah, I know. Very cute. They're like, her name's Pretzel. And I was like, oh, that's so cute.
That's perfect.
And she's also like clomping around the office because she's a literal puppy. And then the dentist walks by and she goes, Pretzel, did you say hi to Lauren? And so Pretzel came by and I let her sniff my hand.
That's nice.
And then she said, Lauren, do you want Pretzel in your lap while we do this?
Please tell me you said yes.
So I said yes.
I would say absolutely yes. And Pretzel just snuggles with you?
Laid on my lap the entire time.
Oh,
I'm getting my filling.
Well, that makes it easier.
Yes, and she's a little dental therapy dog in training. Because, you know, so many people don't like the dentist.
I don't like that. I mean, I like dentists, but the experience at the dentist's office, hate it.
Yes, you don't like dental work being done.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Pretzel comes and sits in your lap, and you can just, like, pet her little head, and she just, like, snuggles.
She doesn't get scared by that.
She got a little scared. She got slightly scared.
Well, yeah, there's a drill, and there's dust.
But the problem is that it was an extra loud noise because the dental assistant was new, so she was training. So she accidentally like sucked my cheek with like the grabber guys.
So the dentist and the therapy dog are in training.
Yes, the dental assistant. Yes.
Yeah, it's tough with that giant or the small vacuum that they jam in your throat.
Exactly.
It's hard to know like what they want you to do with it. Do you want me to like close my lips around this?
Yeah, you got to tell me what you want. Yes. So then the dentist takes a picture because it's her dog. She takes a picture. She asked if she can post it on their social media. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Uh-oh.
And then she said, do you want me to text it to you? I was like, sure. So she texted me from her personal phone number, my dentist.
Now you have it like just in case.
I'm not texting my dentist.
Hey, what's up, dentist?
No. But the thing is, this is not the first time that this has happened to me. When I was in college, I was going to a chiropractor because I had a squished disc, a little slip disc.
Ouch.
Okay. And she was like, oh, she had this tiny, tiny teacup Yorkie, the smallest thing I've ever seen.
Aww.
And she would just place it on my back and say, ooh, puppy practic.
Oh my goodness. I'm actually
this is like
super
a thing
jealous.
That happens to me, apparently.
It's never happened to me. No one's ever offered for me to play with a dog while I'm in a medical procedure, and I'm upset that it hasn't been offered.
So I sent the picture of me at the dentist with Pretzel to my 2 friends from college, and I just sent them the picture, and they replied, "Puppy practic," because they remember that this happened to me in college. Every week at the chiropractor, she'd put her dog on my back and just like stomp its little legs.
I want to go there.
I don't think it exists anymore.
Has this happened to you guys where you get to play with a puppy while you're at some unfortunate situation?
Oh my gosh.
I want that.
I don't know why this
I don't
happens
think
to
so.
me.
And if you work at the dental office with Pretzel the puppy, you
Shout
gotta
out.
text us 440-546-2255. Your puppy played with a celebrity.
Oh,
440-546-2255. Why haven't I seen this photo?
Oh yeah, I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Can we post it online?
Yeah, I guess that's fine.
I mean, if they
Yay.
put it on their social, it's
Fair
we can
game.
do that, right?
I haven't
Of
seen them
course,
put it on their social yet, but she did send it to me.
People like puppy pics.
We can tag her.
Are you wearing
It's
the bib and the
Pretzel-
glasses?
Pretzel the dog tour.
She has her own social.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness.
Yeah.
She has her own.
She does.
We need a station puppy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm wearing the goggles and the bit.
And then, give me your phone.
Look at this. There I am.
Oh my
that's
goodness.
adorable.
Look at that.
Isn't she the cutest little
She's
thing?
like sleeping on you.
I know.
Got text
And
live.
she stayed there for a long time.
I think Aurora Dental needs a dog. Let me just throw that out there.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute.
I actually needed to make a dentist appointment. Says that you texted me the number a couple months back, Lauren.
Yes.
Now I'm excited to make
Yes,
this
that's
dentist
exactly
appointment.
right. You will meet Pretzel the dog.
Well, maybe. You know how it goes for new patients. Oh, great. We'd love to have you come. Let's see. Open up the
See you
calendar.
in 45 years.
2026. How does January sound?
It's a good thing I take good care of my teeth.
Yeah, well, when you get older, it doesn't necessarily matter anymore. I've been trying so hard to get into this dentist, and it's just like they make new patients wait forever.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yes, it is.
Well,
we changed dentists when I was a kid because
Okay.
you could only make your 6 month appointment 9 months out, and they just kept taking on new people. My mom's
that's
like,
not how that works.
my children need to be seen more than once a year.
No, and who plans 2 months before, like 3 months before your appointment to make the next appointment? No one.
Well, you just
Right.
do it at your last
You do it
appointment.
while you're laying in the chair with the bib on. They're like, hey, would you like to
Exactly.
make your next appointment?
Right,
The
exactly.
answer is yes. How does this date look?
That's right.
It's 6 months from now. I've not even thought about tomorrow.
That's exactly right.
Put it down, whatever time you want.
I'll make it happen because I know if I don't make it happen, I won't come for another basically year.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Boy, this is a good lesson learned for any dental professional listening.
Get a dental therapist dog.
Yes,
It was amazing.
I might complain less
Maybe you
about
can come to my
dentists
doctor.
on the radio if you got a puppy that got snuggled with me.
Yeah, maybe you can come to our doctor.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Dog tour.
I love that.
It's 6:15 on WCRF.
1959, Cuba.
This is the biggest demonstration in Cuba's history. Almost 1 million people are here. There is Fidel Castro, the leader.
Cuba then became a one-party, communist and atheist state.
When the revolution took over in 59, things becomes bad to the churches.
But today, this longtime Cuban pastor sees hope.
We really think that this is our time to reach our country. Now people are willing to listen to the gospel.
Cuba needs Jesus. Cuba needs you. You can be part of something really big. Join TWR in taking the good news of Jesus into Cuba every night by radio.
Radio waves can reach everywhere. Any Cuban could listen to the gospel.
Partner today with TWR. Go to CubaNeedsJesus.org.
How exciting if God calls you to missionary aviation. Moody Bible Institute offers the Missionary Aviation Technology degree with a maintenance specialist emphasis. It includes engine overhaul, airframe rebuild, turbine engine maintenance and repair, avionics systems installation, and much more. Get started on your application today at moody.edu/aviation. Over 65 years of missionary aviation training. What an exciting way to serve God. Moody.edu/aviation.
Get up, get ready, and get going. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
A teens community is on Snapchat or on TikTok. And so how would you go about like having both? Like I would want my child to have their community. I don't want them to feel left out. I want them to feel like they're connected. But also there is so much harm
Yeah.
in social media. How can we have both?
Honestly, when you give your child Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it is you're going to give them in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, whenever you're going to do that, does that automatically, magically make them so happy and like so loved? I mean, it really, truly, if we're honest, it does the opposite, that all of a sudden now it opens up this whole world of like, oh my word, I thought I was good looking, but now I see like a gazillion people who are better looking than me. Is that trait of drama and pain and constantly measuring themselves, is that pain worth?
Mornings with Brian, Moody Radio Cleveland, 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
.621 Moody Radio Cleveland. Big morning coming up around 7 o'clock. Oh, looky here. The Dr. Julie Slattery live on this show.
Wow.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
What are we going to talk about? Oh, I don't know. Maybe that she's the keynote speaker for our Renew Women's Conference. Huh?
That'd be a good thing.
Yeah, because that's coming up September 7th, Canton Baptist Temple. Not only will she be our keynote speaker, that's Dr. Julie Slattery from Authentic Intimacy, but Taylor James from New Community Bible Fellowship, Glenna Marshall, author, speaker, mom, pastor's wife. There'll be a panel discussion. It'll be fantastic. That girl will make an appearance all throughout the day.
Yes, you know what, Brian?
What?
We extended the early bird pricing.
We did.
We did.
That's bold.
Through Friday.
Oh, my.
Because Julie's going to be here today.
Yeah,
oh, so
people
making it
got to
special.
get their tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you are a giver.
Well, I didn't really do anything. I just asked somebody else to do it.
And they said yes.
And they said yes.
A lot of givers here at Moody Bible Institute / Moody Radio. So you're welcome is what Lauren says. You're welcome.
Get your
Ladies,
tickets now.
if you missed your chance for the early bird price, it's available through Friday. Again, September 7th, Canton Baptist Temple. For more information, text RENEW to 440-546-2255. Text RENEW to 440-546-2255. All right, so there's been a dramatic increase in homelessness in our country, and we're going to look at this in just a moment. There's a number of factors around it. Christianity Today did a powerful write-up on this. I'm curious, though, from you guys, whether or not homelessness has impacted your family in any way, or you in some way. Well, it doesn't have to be family; it could be a close friend or something.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, her dad was working at a church, and there was it was totally not their fault, but they ended up getting fired without cause and kicked out of their parish, and so they and their 3 kids had no place to go, and so fortunately someone was able to take them in, but for like 6 months to a year, they were just living in someone like a kind friend's bedroom.
Oof. Praise God for that friend.
Yes.
Because we, of course, we look at the terrible situation that person found themselves in their family, but what a big sacrifice for another family to allow someone to live there. That's big.
With their 3 small children.
Yeah, no, it's huge. Has it impacted your family, Lauren, homelessness?
No, not that it's like personally my family or friends, but I did live in a community in Chicago that had extreme homelessness. So I have a lot of people in my life that became friends that were experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, it's you feel almost powerless when you see it.
Yeah.
For so many reasons. A number of years ago, would have said it's never impacted my family because I have a pretty small family. My dad has 1 brother, and they're not really in relationship, as we know from my podcast series. My mom was an only child. Holidays, we grew up, it was my mom's cousins' families who we spent time with. And I won't share names at this point just for for anonymity's sake. And her cousin had 2 kids. And we did every holiday together, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, everything. That's what we did because it was all we had.
Right.
And the kids in the family were maybe about 10 years younger than my brother and I. No problem. We still play with the kids. It's fine. Fast forward, my mom's cousin tragically passed away probably about 10 years ago or so of cancer. Came out of nowhere. She suffered for a while, and their son, their youngest child, was away at college when she got sick, and he decided to drop out and come home and help take care of mom. And stayed with her, and dad and mom, or dad and son took care of mom until she passed. And there's something about that age of late teens that is also a psychiatric breaking point. If you know anything about schizophrenia, most people have their schizophrenic break in their late teens, early 20s. And it's not a formal diagnosis because of a lot of factors, but it seems to me unquestionable that his mother's death and his closeness to it caused a psychiatric break. And he's been homeless for probably, my cousin, for 5 or 6 years. In and out of shelters, living in tents and parks, not well, not sick enough to be a danger to others. So there's literally nothing that can be done except me knowing every night when I go to bed, my cousin is not well and is either in a shelter or on the street. It's brutal. I talked with my cousin. I'm like, his sister, she's tried, talked to attorneys. There's literally almost nothing you can do if someone won't agree.
Right.
And when you're paranoid and you think, the government's out to get you, you will not consent to somebody in authority helping you. It's, again, the powerlessness of it, the tragedy of it is really hard to describe.
Yeah, we had a lot of friends in Chicago. We lived in the neighborhood of Uptown, and we had a lot of people experiencing homelessness in our church because our church was in a 4-story building. The bottom level was a homeless shelter. And
did you go to Uptown Baptist?
No, but it was nearby.
Yeah.
And you would go weeks without seeing someone, and you wouldn't know where they are. You don't know if they got displaced or they had to go find a different shelter, if they were able to find housing with a friend or family member for a couple weeks or months, and you just wouldn't know. And there's no way to keep track of where they are.
And so piling on top of the helplessness you feel when you experience that, it's the brokenheartedness.
Yeah.
That comes from a heart from Christ. I mean, Christians have a broken heart for the homeless. I think it's because of their love for Jesus. Because people in need, people being oppressed, people needing help, huge compassion from Jesus is what you get.
Yeah.
I mean, the first conflict in the church was how to care for widows who needed help. And I have some good news here. The good news is that depending on which statistic you look at, anywhere from 60 to 75% of emergency shelter beds in the U.S. are faith-based. Like Christian people are the ones, primarily, doing anything at all, / everything, for people who are experiencing homelessness. And I think that's something we shouldn't be surprised by, and something we should be like, yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. Way to go, guys. High five. But homelessness has gone up in the last couple of years dramatically for among a group of people that may surprise you, for reasons that may surprise you. We're going to get to all of that. We'll take a quick break and we'll dig in deep into this, because it is clearly something Christians care about. We're the ones with emergency shelters available, but we don't have enough. And it's getting worse, and it's going to get worse.
I'm Joy Traxel, and this is Pause for Prayer. Imagine this. You and I are having a conversation, and I do all of the talking and no listening. After I finish what I wanted to say, I just get up and walk away. Well, that would not be a dialogue. It would be more like a monologue. Do you pray like that? We sit down and tell God all the things that we need Him to do, and once we're done, we say amen and go about our day. How do we know what God has to share with us? If we don't make space to listen, we could be missing out on something amazing. Let's pause and pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, You are all that we need. You are all that we should desire. God, today we come into Your presence asking that You speak to us. We begin by saying thank You for being close to us at all times. When there seems to be a disconnect, it is because we've moved. God, forgive us when we do that. We ask that You bless our efforts as we try to do better. Father, You modeled in Your word the importance of having conversations with God. When we come to You with our needs, we need to make space for You to respond. When we come to You in prayer, we should not expect You to catch up with us, but we need to make space to listen. As we read the Bible, we see how You never rush through life. You always make time for others and always make time to hear from God. So we desire to be more like that. May You become our highest priority and the most important conversation of each day. May we not complicate prayer and always believe that it is just a conversation with us and our loving Father. May we see You as a Father that loves to hear from His children and doesn't see it as an inconvenience. So we ask this in the name of the one that loves us beyond measure. His name is Jesus. Amen.
Hi, I'm Johnny Erickson Tata. And did you know that 80 million people worldwide need a wheelchair? Well, Moody Radio Cleveland is hoping to meet that need by holding their annual wheelchair drive on Saturday, August the 10th from 9 in the morning to 1 p.m. My friends will be collecting used but serviceable wheelchairs for Johnny and Friends Wheels for the World. Go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and find a drop-off site near you today.
Ever wondered if there's a way for Christians to meet their healthcare costs affordably and efficiently? A biblical lifestyle alternative to traditional healthcare options? The answer is Christian Healthcare Ministries. They've enabled believers to live out their faith while embracing a voluntary health cost ministry for over 40 years. It all starts with a visit to chministries.org/Moody to see how CHM meets values and healthcare costs. Get more information and have your questions answered at chministries.org/Moody.
They say family knows you best. Here's Brian's older brother with a message for you.
At least my little brother was able to make a career out of talking non-stop.
It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.9
6:35 WCRF. Get those school supplies together because our remote broadcast is coming up real soon at Laura's home. It's August 6th. You drop off your school supplies there. We have a competition going between Pastor Scott Lessing, who'll be in tomorrow, and he was complaining that his competition, Roy from Galvanized, as they both are trying to compete for who can galvanize the most and get the most school supplies together. They're talking trash. It's pretty intense.
Wow.
But in the end, who wins? The kids.
That's right.
So Laura's Home is a crisis center for women and their kids who are experiencing homelessness or some sort of other crisis. And we want the kids to not worry about school supplies.
And it's tax-free week, so what are you doing?
Yeah, I had an unexpected event, which I'll share yesterday, that I was celebrating the tax holiday big time.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So you are no sales tax right now on lots of different things, including school supplies.
Anything under $500 is tax-free.
Out.
Oh, well, I didn't realize it was the under five. I
That's
really
why-
made a good call. We'll talk more about that later. Wow. It was close, though. Let's put it that way. But get more information and maybe send in by Amazon your school supplies to us, and we'll bring them that day. Again, it's August 6th. You can text the word supplies to 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. The headline from Christianity Today says it all. Homelessness hits record high, straining rescue missions. But I think it's very important for us to see, as if you're just tuning in, Christian ministries are the ones who are providing 60 to 75% of services for homeless, shelters, emergency shelters for homeless people experiencing homelessness, excuse me. And there's some real important causes we have to look at and other issues. And the opening vignette here helps a lot. It says, it was 2:45 p.m., and people were lined up around the block in Tribeca, Manhattan, for the 3 p.m. intake at the emergency shelter of the Bowery Mission, a Christian nonprofit that served New York City since 1879. Am I on the list? A woman called out to Leah Burrell, the Bowery manager. The woman had to get in a standby line. Just inside the doorway, a security guard, new to the job, started to cry when she saw the people lined up. She felt like she could have been in that line too. Even though the shelter had a standby list, this was a light day. In January, the mission saw a 40% surge in people seeking shelter and food. Yeah, no one is prepared for that. 40? 40? Now, this gets a little pseudo-political, but bear with me. Busloads of migrants were being dropped off on its doorsteps over the winter, and the organization had to pivot quickly. You may have seen these stories. Southern states were sending busloads of migrants to politically liberal cities. It found a way to squeeze 16 more beds into the shelter and now had a total of 148 beds for men and women. It has separate recovery programs and transitional housing, but staff have seen the migrant arrivals level off while the heightened demand for the shelter remains. So this is just a transparent thing they're sharing with you. Migrants are part of the cause. But as that has fallen off, demand has not fallen off.
Right.
And this is where the problem begins to really focus in. Other homeless ministries around the country have seen the same thing as CT has interviewed them. They're seeing big increases in shelters seeking from a particular group of people, but not from migrants anymore. Who is it? Single moms and their kids. Single moms and their kids are the ones who are nationally flocking to homeless shelters. This makes me upset.
Yes, it should.
I mean, this is like core biblical stuff. Pure and undefiled religion is what, again?
Caring for widows and orphans.
Now, in a sense, that isn't women and their children, single women and their children, and in a sense it is.
Right. Because in the biblical times when that was spoken, you were less likely to be a divorced woman with children than a widow with children.
Now, what I found in this piece here is there's essentially three causes to this problem. And I want to get you guys' feedback on this. Number one is inflation. We know it's off the charts. Inflation's off the charts. They also say lack of community support that a mom could lean on when she needs more work or to take care of her kids. This is not like community programs, they're saying. The way I read this is like the connectivity of Americans where they could call a friend for help has decreased enough where moms don't have anywhere to go. So it's inflation, it's lack of, friendship support. And finally, it is the number of psychiatric beds in the U.S. is dramatically down, and mental illness is part of the increase. And just so you're aware of the statistic, number of psychiatric beds in the U.S. since 1955 has dropped 90%.
Wow. And that's from 55.
From 55.
We know that the analysis, people being diagnosed with some kind of a mental problem has dramatically shot up since then.
Yeah, and in fact, 10 times as many severely mentally ill people are in prisons now as opposed to hospitals. So they're either on the street or in prison. And the statistics are insane. I mean, highest levels they've seen in a long time. Homelessness year over year, last year to this year, 12% up.
Oh gosh.
Nationally. How are you processing this information?
I mean, it's shocking. It's disturbing. It makes you angry. It just kind of makes you wonder why. But I think we've kind of been alluding to this potential problem for a while when we talk about how it's really hard for you to make it work on like a single income. This is the end result of that. Like people are saying, oh, if you don't want to stay home with your kids, it's because you're just not trying hard enough. Here's people who have no choice but to live on a single income. And they're on the streets. Like, it is that hard if you don't have support.
Yeah, it's either a single income or they're working multiple jobs and never have time with their kids. And then they get Department of Child and Family Services called on them because their kids are home alone all the time because they're always at work.
And we probably don't have time to get in deeply into it, but it's going to get even worse. Why? Because of a recent Supreme Court ruling from the city of Grants Pass, Oregon, where the city of Grants Pass years ago set up a situation where they wanted to fine and ticket people who were camping in public.
Yeah.
Because there were so many homeless people camping in parks. And the Supreme Court upheld their law. Now, there may be further challenges in different areas, but essentially they said it's okay to ticket people for camping in public. So not only do you have not enough bed space, and you have an increasing number of homeless people who are women and their children, but now you have municipalities really can ticket people because, of course, they have lots of money to pay fines.
Right. That's
and
why
you can, of course, be arrested eventually for
not paying your tickets.
Where are they supposed to go? Like, where are they supposed to sleep?
Well, and then you want to add a layer to here's another layer to add to this problem. There's a phenomena that this article talks about. It's the not in my backyard phenomenon.
Yep.
Like, Americans are, generally speaking, if you ask them, are you in favor of homelessness? No, it's terrible. People should have a place to stay. Okay, great. We're going to put a shelter over here near your house. Whoa. No, not in my backyard. Put it over there. But we don't want it here. You might be scary, might hurt our property value, so you can't expand your shelter here.
Yep. People do that all the time. That's how the busloads of migrants were being brought up to northern cities where they were voting like crazy. Yeah, do this, do that.
And they're like, wait, I don't know if we like that.
Yeah. Now that they experience some of the results of their votes, they're changing their tune.
And again, I'm pleased that Christians are the primary source of shelter beds. But it's not enough right now.
No, there is a limit. They do run out of beds.
There is a limit because we haven't expanded.
Right.
Essentially.
And,
it's a crisis.
But that also means that people have to also be willing to give money so that shelters can expand.
Right. I'm sure the city mission would love to have somebody donate $1 million where they can go buy, an old apartment building or something, renovate it, and start running that.
And see, this is one of the reasons we're doing our school supplies drive is because we want to try to support women and their children who are at Laura's home. It's a crisis shelter for women and their kids. And by the way, they're always at capacity.
Yes.
Always. Is there a waiting list? Yeah, always.
Yep.
Always. I don't know. Christians are known for caring about a lot of things, and it's awesome. But sometimes our energy goes to things that maybe don't matter as much as women and their children.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't kind of a problem. It's a huge problem. We had somebody call you, Lauren.
Yeah.
Our radio show.
Yeah, called the show last week.
Can you give us about that?
Yeah, it was a mom who no longer has a home to live at, and she has 3 kids, and she was asking us, where can I go for help? Where can I live? Where can I stay? Do you have contacts?
And we're not equipped to house anyone, and we can certainly refer people to places that are full.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And again, the hard thing is, I know Christians care about this issue. We are the ones that are running most of the shelters in the country, but there aren't enough. And it's multi-layered. There's not enough mental health support
And it's
in our
just going
country.
to keep getting worse as this inflation stays this way.
Mm-hmm.
Because people can only bear so long with how expensive things are right now. There's going to be a breaking point for many, many people really soon.
And so I want to tiptoe towards something kind of controversial. I just want to set it on the table. And I'm going to say as a caveat, we can care about more than one thing at a time.
Yes.
It's not that we have to stop caring about one thing and care about another. Okay.
2 things can be true at once.
Correct. But which is more of a crisis in front of us? Let me just ask you this. Is it homeless women and their children, or the opening ceremonies of the Olympics? Which is a bigger crisis? Now, not saying that one wasn't offensive. I'm personally more offended by the idea of women and children sleeping on the street. Something I can do something about. Now, again, both can be a problem. I'm not saying that anyone has to have a particular position or not, but what I'd love to see is the level of energy from Christians in America brought behind something that many were offended by. That and more put behind the idea of, whoa, we need to do something here more. Let's galvanize American support for women and children who are homeless. Let's galvanize American support for better care and more psychiatric beds for those who are experiencing mental illness and addiction. We're doing it, but we got to do more because no one else is doing it.
And the amount of conversation that's been behind the Olympics online? What if all that time was spent caring for women and children that are homeless?
You're not going to change anything going on in France by
That
tweeting.
happened one time. And
You're just
you
not
can't change it.
You're not going to. They're another country with a different culture. This is happening in your backyard.
Yeah.
And then the radical nature of our backyards. What if we were less concerned about property values and all those kind of things, and we were more like, no, bring here. Here is where we need a shelter. In our community. Which one? All of them. Whichever ones we can get. Just something to think about and maybe talk more about tomorrow. It's 6:48. Pretend Experts coming up.
Her name is Jenny, and maybe like you, she and her husband got tired of their health care getting more and more expensive, so they did it. They went with MediShare.
We signed on with MediShare in March, had a really great experience. It was super easy to get going with them. And then in October of that same year, we found out that I had stage 3 breast cancer.
We were put at ease with MediShare, guiding us and walking with us and saying that they were going to be praying for us.
It's very intentional how they try to bless people when they know this is one of the hardest things that they're going through.
They and their 4 kids thank the Lord, not only for her healing and how he provided for them, but she says it makes her emotional just realizing how she gets to pay it forward.
What we put towards MediShare is going to be blessing another mom, and they're going to show up for her the way that they showed up for me.
You save a lot, and you're part of something really, really good. Call now. It's 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
For some women, this struggle is very real.
Would anyone love me if they knew? Will I ever be free from porn?
First, you're not alone in this. And second, freedom is possible. Dr. Julie Slattery and Dr. Joy Skarka have written a new 8-week book and workbook called Her Freedom Journey, a beautiful blend of research, biblical truth, and very personal stories. Find Her Freedom Journey today at moodybooks.org.
helping you take the next step in your walk with Jesus. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
They look at business decisions and impose their positions. Without a doubt, they know what they're talking about. It's time for Pretend Experts.
Anybody hike in the group here? Any hikers?
Jimmy and I like to hike.
Well, there you go. I've got a great thing for you. There's brand
Okay.
new hiking pants.
I'm listening.
Hiking pants. They're called Mogo, short for mountain goat.
Oh, wow.
They have an electric motor at the knees.
Wait, what?
That absorbs the impact on downhill trips and helps you feel stronger going uphill. And overall, it just essentially gives the feeling from these electric motors of being about 30 pounds lighter. Think, electric bicycle. They have those now where you can pedal and you're going faster and you don't have to work as hard. It's Mogo, mountain goat pants.
Huh.
Up the hill. There you go.
Mountain goat pants. I don't know. I feel like there's something to feel accomplished about when you're carrying you're feeling your full body weight. You're carrying it all the way up. or down.
I don't know. I'm predisposed to bad knees. It's got a family history of this, so I'm not sure that this is such a horrible idea.
Well, you didn't ask the most important question.
How much do they cost?
Exactly, Daria.
Oh, man.
Only $4,500.
Nope. Jeans work just fine.
Who can afford these?
I mean, rich hikers,
Elon
I
Musk?
guess.
That's it. And he's not hiking. He's
Right.
got his fancy little scary car.
People driving their cyber trucks
Right.
to go hiking can afford it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I saw one of those for the first time in the wild the other day.
No, you
That is
didn't?
the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I saw one in Hiram. There was somebody parked in Hiram, Ohio there. And I was like, what is that thing? Oh, it's a Cybertruck. Gross. Wonder if they had Mogo pants on. I don't know. I mean, when you're throwing packages at UPS overnight, you wouldn't mind a little bit of electrical help on your knees, I bet, huh?
Yeah, but not for 4,000.
Help on your knees.
Okay, so we're saying no to this? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah. No
Okay.
thanks.
Yeah.
We're
Kinda
cutting
like,
this idea.
Lee.
I mean, I'd try them out. Not that I need to do
someone else-
less work.
If someone else bought them for you, you try them.
Absolutely. You guys heard of the Kelsey brothers, Travis and Jason?
Obviously.
Unfortunately.
AKA one of them is, who knows which one, I don't really pay that much attention,
Travis.
is Taylor's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they are working on a new cereal mix.
Kelsey Crunch.
You've heard about this?
Unfortunately.
Well, it's actually going to be called Kelsey Mix Cereal, which I like yours better.
I have seen this one too.
Kelsey Mix. Who's the marketing team? This is upsetting to me.
It's from General Mills. So
Well,
they
General
don't have much
Mills-
of an excuse.
No, they don't. Kelsey Mix. Come on. Come on.
Kelsey Crunch makes sense.
Kelsey Crunch. Make it with a K. Kelsey Crunch with a K.
Why would that
Why
be?
did they hire Daria to make this for them?
They actually already, Kelsey Crunch, I think, is already
I
a
thought she
thing.
was gonna say-
I've seen it.
I thought she was going to say actually did hire me.
So-
Actually, I'm doing this on the side.
So nerds over at General Mills. How about Kelsey Mix Cereal? That's got a
How can
zip.
you have multiple cereals? That's not fair.
I
How
guess.
is General Mills okay with them having a different cereal?
Well, it's not a different cereal. That's the thing. So they, in their recent podcast episode, talked about their favorite cereals, and the three of them happen to agree. Sorry, the two of them happen to agree.
Who's the third?
Taylor, maybe? No. So the two of them happen to agree on their three favorite cereals. All three happen to be General Mills cereals.
Okay, that's fine.
So the Kelsey Mix cereal will combine Reese's Puffs.
Oh, so it's not making a whole new cereal.
No, it's like when you're a kid and you'd go to the soda fountain and you'd put
yeah,
all
mix
the
them all
sodas
together. Yeah.
So this is a box which includes a mix of Reese's Puffs, Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
Reese's
and-
Puffs, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Okay.
and Lucky Charms.
No.
That's disgusting. That
Those
is
don't-
so disgusting.
Those flavors do not go together.
I knew you two would have an opinion about this.
That's disgusting.
I like all three individually.
Yes.
Yeah, they're fine by themselves.
They're perfect by themselves. Amazing. Gorgeous cereals. Not together.
Gorgeous cereals.
Not together.
Yeah, it's one box. The Kelsey Mix
Peanut
cereal.
butter with marshmallow? I don't know about that.
What do you think about the peanut butter and the cinnamon toast crunch?
I feel like peanut butter and cinnamon can go okay.
No, they
might
do.
go.
They do go together.
They can, but that's an odd. Like, what's going to happen to the milk?
Ooh. It's like pink from the Lucky Charms, but also cinnamony.
Ew.
And chocolatey peanut buttery.
Yeah.
Ugh, nope.
Yeah, I think we're going to reject the Kelsey Mix cereal by name from the marketing department and by
yeah,
content.
by name and by content. Also, they should have just made a whole new cereal.
Yeah, that would have made more sense. But we're
Well,
talking about it, so.
Yeah. All
guess
they
it
want to
worked.
do is ride the Kelsey name phenomenon for a little while. It'll be a year they'll have this out and then they'll discontinue it.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomena. Dun, 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 dun. Phenomena. Mm-hmm. You're not
Do you
familiar?
think that's the only time you say that word? Because you say it at least 45 times a morning. So
No, but when someone else says it,
Yeah.
it's fun.
I'm going to start doing that to you when you say it.
Say what?
I'm not saying it.
I almost got you. I almost got you. Final story. Alexa, sorry if you have one, she's asking you something now. It now features Gen Z slang.
Oh,
That's nice.
Okay.
You can actually just say, and I'm going to say this now, and people's houses are going to go crazy. Hey, Alexa, talk Gen Z to me.
Go. No.
And they're going to hear the definition of one of 20 popular Gen Z slang terms. Amazon surveyed over 1,000 Gen Zers, came up with a list. So when you say, "Hey Alexa, talk Gen Z to me," she'll give you one of 20 terms and define it for you. So
You
like
have
drip, I would
Yeah,
imagine is one.
That's what I was about to ask. What are the terms on there?
I don't have the list.
Oh.
But my kids already, like I poorly use drip on a regular basis. The looks they give each other and me, priceless. Worth every penny. What do you think like how do you say drip again? This outfit is drip?
I don't really know.
Well, if I like your outfit, I might say, Brian, your drip is fire.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, I think you just
That sounds-
replace outfit with drip. I think.
I'll have to ask Jamie Buxton.
Yeah, Jamie Buxton was saying it a lot yesterday to us. She said he already has his drip, so. Or one of her sons said, "Mom, I need these really drippy cleats." Drippy cleats.
So you can say drippy.
I guess.
Because I said drippy and everyone got mad at me.
Because I didn't think that you could say that.
But maybe I see.
But one of the Buxton boys did.
We need to ask a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So try
Why
it
don't you
around
go ahead
your
and
kids.
text Matthias, and why don't you go ahead and ask him?
Oh, he is the most offended by me trying to talk
Okay, well
slang.
then
why you
I'll
should keep
text him
doing it.
via your phone. Be like, "Hey Matthias, it's Lauren. I got a question." Maybe he won't be so offended.
You know what I've been doing to him too? I keep doing your mom jokes to him just to drive him crazy. Wait, that's your wife. I'm like, yeah. He's like, Dad, this is boring. Your mom's boring. And she doesn't care. She's my wife.
Yeah, of
She
course.
thinks it's funny. Oh boy, it's a lot of fun. Hey Alexa, talk Gen Z to me. Give it a try. Do you like this idea?
It's pretty like Gen X to say, "Hey Alexa, talk Gen Z to me."
I know. I love it.
I think it's fun. I think this is going to help some grandparents
Yeah.
connect with their grandkids.
Yeah.
Doesn't harm anything.
We love it. Way to go, Jeff Bezos.
Well, I doubt that it was
It
Jeff.
was
that
not
thought
Jeff
of it.
Bezos.
Maybe he wore that giant cowboy hat he wore when he went to outer space. And he was like, "Let's have a talk Gen Z, guys. Yeehaw!" All right, 7:02 coming up in just a minute. Our friend Dr. Julie Slattery joins us live to talk about the upcoming Renew Women's Conference.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
The alleged mastermind behind the 9/11 terror attacks is avoiding the death penalty. It's 7:03. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. On Wednesday, officials announced Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and two other 9/11 suspects being held at Guantanamo Bay have agreed to plead guilty and face sentencing August 5th. The defendants are accused of providing training, money, and assistance to the 19 terrorists who hijacked the passenger planes back in 2001. A man accused of making a swatting call back in April has now been arrested. Summit County Sheriff's deputies responded to a home on April 30th after a caller told an emergency dispatcher that a man was holding a gun to his wife's head and was about to pull the trigger. A woman inside the home where the officers were dispatched told them that she lived alone and knew nothing of this call. And Ohioans who own iPhones now have another option for identifying themselves at TSA checkpoints. The state's driver's licenses and ID cards can now be added to Apple Wallet. Governor Mike DeWine announced the change this week, making Ohio only the 5th state in the nation to make ID cards available for digital storage. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
Moody Bible Institute is a special place. We're blessed to work here, and we'd love you to join us. There's a need for the tax manager. You'll be supervised by the treasurer and be responsible for all aspects of trust tax reporting, institute taxes, and sales taxes. It's so satisfying to use how God gifted you for His good by joining the team at Moody Bible Institute. Apply now at moodyjobs.org.
In sports, the Pirates lost to the Astros just by that much, 5-4. And the U.S. added 4 more medals at the Paris Olympics, continuing to sit on top of the leaderboard with 30 total medals. That's 5 gold, 13 silver, and 12 bronze. France has moved up a little bit. They're now just 4 behind us with 26 total medals. China sits at third with 19 medals, but they now lead the gold race with 9. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then partly sunny with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. It's going to be hot with highs in the lower 90s.
It's time for your moron moment.
How will you celebrate Spider-Man Day on August 1st? Spider-Man entered the comic universe in issue 15 of Marvel Comics' Amazing Fantasy in August of 1962. I was not quite a year old then. The groundbreaking story caught the attention of readers when it featured an awkward, antisocial teenager as its superhero. And since then, Peter Parker has not aged. But I sure have. If nothing else, Spider-Man has taught us one thing. With great power comes great responsibility. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 7:06. With Moody Radio News, I'm Ron Eastwood.
Broadcasting live from the Bob Devine Studio. It's Mornings with Brian. Want to join the conversation? Call or text now at 440-546-2255. It's Mornings with
Let's be honest for a minute. Life is hard. It's increasingly difficult to make ends meet. Stress from work can seem never ending. And then there's the challenge of relationships with people around us, like marriages and parenting. There's got to be a way to endure the chaos without losing our joy. And I think we found it. As you head on to work this morning, join us for Mornings with Brian, weekdays starting at 6 a.m. on 103.3 FM.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
Butler. Love his voice. 710 on WCRF, Moody Radio Cleveland, Mornings with Brian. We're going to have to straighten up a bit, people.
Uh-oh.
I mean, our next guest, not only is she going to be the keynote speaker at our Renew Women's Conference, and she's the boss of the Institute, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
She's on the board of trustees at Moody Bible Institute.
Hashtag girl boss.
Yeah, big time. I think she was the first woman ever on the board of trustees at Moody Bible Institute. She's a trailblazer, is what she is.
Mm-hmm.
She's also the co-founder of the ministry Authentic Intimacy, host of the Job with Julie podcast. Like, everyone listens to it. It's so popular. She writes books. She speaks. She's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Julie Slattery.
Wow, what an introduction. I don't know what to say after that.
No, we were so excited. We were saving the big announcement about you being keynote, and now the floodgates have opened. We're so excited. Thank you for agreeing to be our keynote speaker at the big event.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I love Moody. I love WCRF. I love you guys. So it's great to be part of the community.
Well, now for those who don't know, you grew up in the Akron area, right?
I did, and I still live in the Akron area. This is my hometown.
Wow,
Woohoo.
Hometown girl. So you must have grown up in some sense listening to WCRF?
I did, absolutely, yeah. For those of you who have listened to WCRF for many, many years, I grew up on Bob Divine. I grew up marching around the breakfast table, and Harold Sala, those voices still kind of ring in my memories. So, I've been very blessed by WCRF and Moody Radio over the years.
Now, did you literally or figuratively march around the breakfast table?
I did. I think we literally did a few times.
A lot of people did. No, that's not weird. A lot of people did that. That's awesome. I love it. Now, okay, so you're keynoting at a women's conference, and we're so excited about that. How do you go about deciding where the Lord's going to guide you in speaking in a situation like this?
Well, when I first had conversations with the Moody team about what I was going to speak on, I told them, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to speak on. What do you want me to speak on? And they said, whatever you would like. Often an organization will be clear, especially in the world that I live in, they'll be like, we really want you to address sexuality or culture, something like that. But for this event, they left it very open-ended, which I just said, all right, I'm going to pray about it and see what God lays on my heart. And that's what I did, to really, God, what are you teaching me? What are you giving me to share at this event? So that's kind of how I process that.
Now, did you decide yet? So you've already figured it out. Can we find out what it is?
Yeah, I am going to speak about love.
Oh,
so
awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever spoken specifically on love before.
Wow. Okay. And so why do you think that's something that women in Northeast Ohio need to hear about right now? What's behind that?
Yeah, I don't know that it's just women that need to hear it, but as I've been just wrestling in my own walk with the Lord and looking at what's happening in the church and in our culture, Brian, the thing that struck me is our relationship with God begins with love. It's literally the first thing most of us learn growing up is Jesus loves me. But it also is the last thing that we learn. The pinnacle of a life that is abiding in Christ is a life of love, a life that is so rooted in the love of Jesus Christ that we become people of love. It's the last lesson I'll learn, and it was the first lesson I learned. So, when I look at my own walk with the Lord, when I look at what's happening in the church and in culture, we have so little love. We don't understand the love of God, and therefore we don't know how to love others well. So that's kind of what God has been impressing on my heart and teaching me.
Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Again, our guest is Dr. Julie Slattery. Again, she's a clinical psychologist, Akron native, co-founder of Authentic Intimacy, host of the Job with Julie podcast, also featured keynote speaker at our upcoming Renew Women's Conference. That big event is September 7th at Canton Baptist Temple. You can text RENEW to 440-546-2255 for more information. Text RENEW to 440-546-2255. We'll send you back a link. And when we come back from this quick break, we'll dig in a little bit more with Dr. Slattery about this concept of love she'll be speaking about and how much we really need to kind of rediscover this Christian ethic and maybe a little surprise for you a little bit later on as well. Stay tuned.
This is Wayne Shepherd. Did you know that 1 in 3 people do not have access to the good news of Jesus Christ? That's over 3 billion people on this earth that will never have the peace of knowing they will spend eternity in heaven because of what Jesus has already done for them. That's why FEBC, the Far East Broadcasting Company, is focused relentlessly on reaching the unreached. Through radio, digital platforms, and social media, we are sharing the good news in over 150 native languages, and we only have one message, the gospel of Jesus Christ. The work that lies ahead of us is far greater than what's behind us. But fear not, God is with us in everything we do. In faith, you can join us in reaching those billions of people so they will have the opportunity to know that Jesus Christ died on the cross for all of us and will forgive our sins. Learn more at febc.org. That's febc.org.
You want your children to know the Bible and to know Jesus in a personal way. And we'd love to help with Today in the Word Family Studies. This month, we study the book of Job, helping you answer hard questions like, why does God allow bad things to happen? It's a great help to teach complex themes. Get your Today in the Word devotional and download the free Go Along Family Study at todayintheword.com. Spend time in God's Word together.
Mornings with Brian, weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on Moody Radio Cleveland 103.3 FM.
7:18, you won't believe it. With us right now, Dr. Julie Slattery from Authentic Intimacy. Again, she's the keynote speaker at our upcoming Renew Women's Conference on September 7th, Canton Baptist Temple. For more information and to get your tickets, text RENEW to 440-546-2255. And the Lord led you, Julie, you said, to speak on love. And one of the things you said is you've seen so little of it in our culture today, whether it's from the church or just from the general public. What are you seeing from the church predominantly at the moment besides love?
Yeah, a lot of divisiveness. And some of this is just the culture that we live in. I think we enter into a lot of relationships and conversations looking for what we disagree about. And when we disagree, our first response is often to be defensive or even to react with, well, then, you know, you're in a different camp than I'm in. I really can't have close fellowship with you. I feel like that happens, you know, on a large scale in our Christian communities, but it also happens in one-on-one relationships where we essentially feel like we can't be close to people that we don't completely agree with on everything. That there's a lot of criticism, there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of fear. But when we read the New Testament, like, there's so much ink that is devoted to this idea of Christian unity and bearing with one another in love, being patient, being compassionate and kind, making every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit. Like, these are all words of Paul telling us, like, this love, this unity thing, you're going to have to work at it. It's not going to happen naturally. It's going to happen supernaturally. And it really is put as the most important thing we can do as believers in Jesus Christ. Is it says, be imitators of God, live a life of love. So that just, I see the priority that God puts on that for his church. And then I see how little we talk about it and how little we actually work towards it.
I could see someone in their car kind of going, yeah, I agree with you on that, Julie, but American culture changing so rapidly, it's ungodly. I've got to stand up. I've got to, draw a line in the sand for righteousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We definitely stand on truth, but it's not up to us to draw a line in the sand of righteousness. Like, God is righteous. He does that. His word does that. And we have to live with integrity. But part of living with integrity is, the final test of whether we are Jesus' disciples is whether we love one another well. It's not how well we can articulate a theology on this issue or that issue. So yes, theology is important. True, our whole relationship with Christ is based on truth, but it can't come at the expense of, that means I can treat people the way the culture treats people. So it's not an either or, it's a both and I feel like a lot of our conversation in the church is about, how do I stand up for truth? How do we win the culture wars? When we react based on fear, instead of realizing the real change agent is when we invite Jesus into these spaces by being like he is in terms of our love.
How do you think we got here? Because, you're sharing very clear truths from Scripture about the priority of love and Christian unity. How did we get to this point?
Well, Brian, I think, first of all, we can look at our culture and say, this is happening everywhere. Today, you are going to interact with people, and if you happen to bring up anything political, wow. It's just, you're going to immediately find out where people are, who they like, who they don't like, who they fear. It's just, we live in times that are very divided, and it's what we live in. You go on social media, and even people who agree about 95% of things, they'll call each other out on the 5% they really disagree about, and they won't do it in a gracious way. We're a very fear-based culture. We're very tribal. So we live in that world, and that's true. But I also believe that if this is such a high priority that Jesus puts on something, then we have to know that the enemy wants to destroy that. And when we look at even the early church, they were dealing with divisions. And why did the New Testament writers spend so much time on this? Because even within the early church, there was a threat of fragmenting and infighting and disagreeing over really important theological issues of the day. So if this is what God wants, it means there's always going to be a spiritual battle around that happening.
So as you bring this to us at the Renew Women's Conference, are you going to be guiding us through essentially, the antidote to this? Is it tips and tricks? Where did God guide you, generally speaking, without giving it all away, obviously?
Yeah, I don't know that there's tips and tricks of love. I think it's, first, recognizing how important this is to the Lord, and secondly, recognizing how we fall short in this, and allowing the Spirit of God to move us and to convict us. And sometimes, he does that by highlighting in our life, one situation or one relationship or one issue that we just haven't handled well. And the work of learning to love is not a 3-step plan. It's actually a supernatural process of God. You're going to have to love through me, because my human love is always going to fall short. So, I believe the Holy Spirit shows us what we need to do. Sometimes it's, wow, I really need to go ask forgiveness for this person. Or sometimes it's like, wow, I've cut off a relationship that I need to go pursue. Or I'm going to be with somebody today that God just wants me to be patient and just listen. So there are very clear ways that we practice love, but it really begins with the direction and posture of our hearts.
Again, you've been listening to a conversation with Dr. Julie Slattery. Again, she's clinical psychologist, Akron native, co-founder of Authentic Intimacy, host of the Job with Julie podcast, and we're so grateful to have her as our keynote speaker this year at the Renew Women's Conference, and that's coming up September 7th at Canton Baptist Temple. Because Lauren is a giver and a requester, she got the early bird pricing extended.
Yes.
Through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get an early bird discount by getting your ticket by Friday, ladies. Text RENEW for more information to 440-546-2255. Julie, though, of course, if folks want to learn more about your ministry, maybe get a preview of your speaking and your thinking, how can they connect to your ministry?
Yeah, one of the easiest ways is what you mentioned earlier, Brian, is the Job with Julie podcast. You can find that online or any podcast app. And that's a great way, especially since you're a listener, just to jump in. And we have covered a lot of topics as our walk with God applies particularly to intimacy, sexuality, culture. That's kind of the space that the Lord has us in.
Well, thanks again for your time today and for being our keynote speaker at Renew. We can't wait to hear what the Lord gave you to share with us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brian. Hey, it's great to hear your voice and connect with you again. It's been a while.
You too. We miss you so much, friend. Can't wait to see you in a few weeks.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right. It's 7:27 now. I guess we would be silly to not do something generous after that.
We would be remiss.
Yes, we would. Yes, we would be quite remiss. So if I'm not mistaken, not one, not two, but you want to give away, Lauren, 3 pairs of tickets?
3 pairs of tickets.
How do you want to do this?
I'm going to go ahead and say callers 1, 2, and 3.
Callers 1, 2, and 3 will each get a pair of registrations to the Renew Women's Conference where you can hear Dr. Julie Slattery speak on the topic of love directly to the heart of a woman. So you want to do that? Call right now. Callers 1, 2, and 3 will get a pair of registrations to Renew. 440-546-2255. 440-546-2255. Callers number 1, 2, and 3 get a pair of registration.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
still tabulating our winners, as in like just Darius talking to them. But we did collect our 3 winners of pairs of registrations to the Renew Women's Conference. Again, text the word RENEW to 440-546-2255. Text RENEW to 440-546-2255. There'll be a panel discussion. You're going to hear Dr. Julie Slattery talk to you about the importance of love and unity. You're also going to hear Taylor James from New Community Bible Fellowship, Glenna Marshall, speaker, author, mom, pastor's wife, and that girl will be there.
All right.
AKA Lauren and Daria. Some people think it's one person, but you'll see for sure it's 2. That girl.
We're 2 people.
You are 2 people. It'll be proven once and for all at the Renew Women's Conference. All right. So coming up in just a few minutes, there was kind of a point counterpoint. I was struggling there. Point counterpoint on Gospel Coalition. Lauren's totally falling apart. Sometimes my mind gets ahead of my mouth, and I don't. Anyway,
I've been there.
So
That happens to me all the time, but I don't make that noise.
I just decided to make the noise because it sounded so ridiculous what I was doing. Accentuate it. There I go. There's debate among some Christians about whether or not we should have any visual representations of Jesus. Is it a violation of the commandments to have, like, for example, a TV series that features Jesus?
Right.
Or another would be a painting of Jesus, a statue of Jesus in church that people might look at and pray. Are we getting into Graven image territory? There's a point counterpoint for us to look at and examine together from Gospel Coalition. We'll do that in just a minute.
Some people think their source of income could disappear in a moment, but Dr. Tony Evans says that's impossible if you understand where it really comes from. He'll explain as we spend 2 minutes with Tony.
You only have one source. Everything else is a resource, a means through which God does things. For example, what is the source of your food? Some would say, well, the source of my food is Menyards. Others would say the source of my food is Whole Foods, or wherever you happen to shop. I would beg to differ with you. They're merely the resource provider of your food. You see, in order for Whole Foods or Menyards to sell you vegetables or fruit, somebody has got to grow it. If they grew it with seeds. Seeds that they did not make on ground they did not create. If you take God's provision away, there is no Menyard, there is no Whole Food, there is no fast food, and there is no you, because there would be no food. In other words, God is the source. All these mechanisms are merely resources, and He is the only source. Now, the beautiful thing about that is once you get that, nobody owns you anymore, because they were never the source in the first place. And God can switch resources on a dime.
Learn more about why the Lord's gracious goodness never gives out. Check out Tony's popular CD series, The Magnificent Grace of God, available online at tonyevans.org. Then join us next time for 2 Minutes with Tony.
Prayer works. As believers, it's easy to avoid a hostile culture, but Jesus didn't shy away from the world. Need strength in this area? Join author and speaker Francis Chan in this prayer.
When we look at the lost and do everything we can to get into their worlds, that we might win some of them. To be people who are filled with your Spirit, courageous, God, admitting that we get scared. Lord, I hate being rejected. I hate looking stupid, God. And yet I look in the scriptures, and that's what happened. I mean, godly people get persecuted. They get rejected. Jesus himself was hated by the world. And so we should not be surprised when the world hates us. But may it not be because of our arrogance, our lack of love. May it only be because of the gospel. In Jesus' name, amen.
Visit moodyradio.org/prayer.
Are you looking for candid conversation from a biblical perspective? You found it. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
$7:39 on Moody Radio Cleveland. Dave Szfranski will be here in about 20 minutes to answer your financial questions. 440-546-2255. And I'll probably, if I remember, I'll share a story about how tough I was yesterday. Very manly yesterday. Unplanned manliness.
Oh,
what does that even mean?
I guess you'll have to listen to find out, Daria.
Spontaneous manliness.
Yes.
I like that.
And Ron probably has some sort of music he'll play for me. It'll be epic. And Dave will applaud me, I think.
I'm sure he will.
Well, hey, we got some winners real quick to announce.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's about women. The Renew Women's Conference, we gave away 3 pairs of registrations. And because she sounds so much better than me, take it away, Daria.
Congratulations to Kelly, Chris, and Aniki. They'll be going to a Renew Women's Conference September 7th. And we have extended our early bird pricing until end of day tomorrow. So text Renew to 440-546-2255 to get some more information and get your tickets.
All right, so there was a point counterpoint on Gospel Coalition's website.
Indeed.
About whether or not it's okay for us to have images of Christ. It's been debates in the church for many thousands of years, quite frankly, about this. But like some people would tell you, no, there should not be any depictions of Jesus anywhere, because then you run the risk of worshiping the statue or the object as opposed to Jesus himself.
That's right.
And we don't know what he looked like. There's no description of him. There's no pictures. None of that. And this actually deals directly with one of the 10 commandments. The second commandment is what's at issue here. And so I thought our legal scholar slash biblical hermeneutical
not a
expert.
legal scholar. No.
You watch TV, don't you?
That doesn't make me a legal scholar.
Okay, well, Bible scholar?
No.
Moody graduate.
Yes.
Moody graduate Lauren, give us a couple of translations of the second commandment so we can have that in the back of our minds.
I'm going to start with the NLT to give you a couple of verses, and then I'll give you some other translations.
Okay.
So Exodus 20, starting at verse 1. Then God gave all the people all these instructions. I am the Lord your God who rescued you from the land of Egypt, the place of your slavery. You must not have any other God but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods. Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm going to read in some other versions. Just the graven images part. That's Exodus 20, verse 4.
I feel like we're constitutional scholars, like examining the text.
Hardly.
This is what they do for like courts and stuff. So here we
Yeah.
go. And in hermeneutics, but whatever.
So the ESV, you shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above or that is in the earth beneath or that is in the water under the earth. Holman Christian Standard Bible. Do not make an idol for yourself, whether it is in the shape of anything in the heavens above or on the earth below or in the waters underneath. Let's do the NIV. You shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above or on earth beneath or the waters below. Let's see. Any other versions you guys want?
No, I think that's good. Can you go back to the New Living Translation where you
Sure.
were like the full context? Because it feels to me that the commandment itself requires the next verse as
Yes,
well.
it does. It absolutely does.
Because
it's,
when you look at just the graven image part, you walk away going, well, this is obvious. You can't have a depiction of anything in heaven or on earth. So
Yep.
that's no image of anything.
You must not have any other God but me. You must not make for yourself an idol of any kind or an image of anything in the heavens or on the earth or in the sea. You must not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God who will not tolerate your affection for any other gods.
Now, if I'm going to pretend like I'm, looking at the Constitution of the United States, both those go together. And it seems clear to me by the second one that what's meant by, like the second portion of the commandment explains the first, which is God is saying any
I'm confused
image
about the Constitution part. What are you saying?
I listen to a legal podcast a lot.
Okay, but I don't understand what the Constitution has to do with this right now.
And so when you're looking at a literal interpretation of something, you have to
Okay.
use certain techniques when you're looking at what something
Sure.
means. You have to look at
Okay.
context. So I'm just trying to sound smarty pants. Let me do it.
But adding a different
Let me do
document into the document
Okay,
you're
fine.
talking about is more confusing.
Okay, fine. Look at just the Bible then. The second passage there, the second part of the commandment, to me explains the first.
Yes, exactly.
As in,
You can't have idols or images because he's a jealous God. You may not worship other things before him.
but what's implied to me in that is that it's other things besides him.
Yeah.
So like false gods.
Yes.
So couldn't someone use that on its face to say there would be no problem with images of Jesus, for example, even though we don't know what he looks like? A beautiful painting of a scene from the Bible, a statue, wouldn't violate that because the object would be in our minds at least God.
It also says don't make any images of anything in heaven.
Objection.
Or on earth or under the sea.
So what do you all do with that?
I think, yes, he says no graven images or carved images or idols.
Which is all things.
Right. But he knows the heart of humans. He made humans.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows what happened to them after the fall. And I think he knows what he's saying when he's giving that commandment because he knows that the heart of humans is almost always going to turn to other things other than God.
Right.
I mean, the reason I have an issue with, depictions of Jesus is because of how inaccurate they are.
Yes.
They're very European. Jesus looks,
Like me?
Yes.
Except he actually has blue eyes a lot in paintings, which makes him like Scandinavian, which is, last I checked on a map, very far away from the Middle East.
Yes. Yeah, I hope that when we get to heaven, we're all shocked at what he looks like. I think we will be. And I hope we are.
Well, and there's one depiction of, generally speaking, in a prophecy of what he would look like in the Old Testament. I forget the exact passage, but it's essentially like he's average. You wouldn't notice him in a crowd.
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't stand out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'd all be surprised. So by the sounds of it, sounds like Lauren and Daria are saying cancel and delete and burn any image or media depiction of Jesus ever. Moving on?
No.
Wait, no, but you just said, like, we can't have any depictions.
I think there are problems with the way we depict Christ, a lot of problems. And I think there are certain people or denominations that might be predisposed to use an image as a method of worship. I'm not sure how I feel about just an outright ban, though.
I caution against them because the tendency is so strong to start worshiping that thing, or you rely so heavily on that thing that it's like you have to know what Jesus looks like in order for you to have faith in him or to worship him or to love him or to follow him. If you have to have that image, or you are, posting about it everywhere as if this is true and real, and then you start thinking that it's the true and real what Jesus looks like, instead of actually spending time with him to know what his heart is, that's where I get nervous.
So it's mushy.
Yeah, it is mushy.
You're not totally against it, but you're also not totally for the idea of
Yeah, I
images of
understand
Jesus.
why people do it. It's hard to have faith in something that you cannot see. That's literally the point of faith.
Well, and God created art and beauty.
Yes.
And so I think it's possible for, if one acknowledges it can't be exactly what it looked like because we don't know, a depiction of a scene in the Bible or a beautiful statue could actually bring someone towards worship.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'd have to look up the exact definitions, but I'm worried about the word depiction rather than interpretation. This is our interpretation of what Jesus looks like, not necessarily a depiction of what Jesus looks like.
Okay, so you're okay with an interpretation.
And to know that it's that, and to be aware of it, that it's an interpretation, and to say to others that it's interpretation, that it's not true, that you don't have this is what Jesus looks like. I just think we have to be really careful.
Well, and like a friend of mine just texted me, The Chosen.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've watched a lot of The Chosen, and I enjoy the characters, and I really like Jonathan Rumi's portrayal of Jesus. But then I saw him in Jesus Revolution, and he played a character who was likable at first and then became a little antagonistic. And, at first I was like, wait a minute, Jesus, why are you doing that? but it was good to see the actor be a different character, and now it's helped to separate them for me. But there was no way I was going to, buy a 8x12 or bigger picture of Jonathan Rumi and put it on the mantle and, light incense or whatever and bow down. He's just a man.
Yeah, if you enjoyed The Chosen, don't hear me saying that there's something wrong with you. I had to stop watching The Chosen because I felt they had taken so many creative liberties. It just didn't feel right for me to continue, to continue watching it.
And but notice what she's saying. She's not saying all people. You're just saying that was your choice.
That was my choice.
Not that Lauren would make the same choice, or Ron for that matter.
You've got to be in touch with your own spirit and heart of what is troublesome for you and what is starting to turn into idol worship, or you're relying too much on these images and you're not actually in connection with who Jesus actually is.
By the way, before we take a quick break, I want to ask you to share something. But when we come back from the break, I want to look at a couple of the arguments from Gospel Coalition. In fact, one of the articles that says, no, you shouldn't depict Jesus anywhere uses a particular type of logic called syllogism to get there. We're going to talk about that for a minute. But first, Lauren, what was this text that came in here? I'm sorry. KP, my dear friend here.
KP said, tell Brian I at least appreciate his practicing the principles of textual originalism.
Which is a constitutional interpretation reference, which was what I was doing, and you were
Yeah,
so offended
except
by
the
it.
Bible is older than the Constitution, and
Correct.
interpreting the Bible is older than the Constitution.
But it's a form
and
of that.
adding in a different document into the conversation of talking about the Bible confuses things.
And end of the day,
'Cause you
KP
said
liked it.
the Bible.
KP liked it.
So the Constitution,
KP
it just
liked
like
it.
doesn't make sense.
KP liked it, so it's good. Thanks. 7:51. We'll be right back.
Prayer works. As believers, it's easy to avoid a hostile culture, but Jesus didn't shy away from the world. Need strength in this area? Join author and speaker Francis Chan in this prayer.
When we look at the lost and do everything we can to get into their worlds that we might win some of them. To be people who are filled with your spirit, courageous, God, admitting that we get scared. Lord, I hate being rejected. I hate looking stupid, God. And yet I look in the scriptures and that's what happened. I mean, godly people get persecuted, they get rejected. Jesus himself was hated by the world. And so we should not be surprised when the world hates us, but may it not be because of our arrogance, our lack of love. May it only be because of the gospel. In Jesus' name, amen.
Visit moodyradio.org/prayer.
Moody Bible Institute is a special place. We're blessed to work here, and we'd love you to join us. There's a need for the tax manager. You'll be supervised by the treasurer and be responsible for all aspects of trust tax reporting, institute taxes, and sales taxes. It's so satisfying to use how God gifted you for His good by joining the team at Moody Bible Institute. Apply now at moodyjobs.org.
Keeping your eyes on Jesus in a changing culture can be difficult. Let us help. It's Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio, Cleveland.
7:53. Dave Szfranski will answer your financial questions in a few minutes. And you'll hear an epic story of manhood. About
That's
who was it
to
again?
be seen.
Well, we'll see. It's about me. We'll see.
I haven't heard the story yet, so can't comment.
Oh, we got two skeptics, Ron. Ron's already cheering for me, but the lady's skeptical.
I haven't heard a cheer.
I've been practicing flexing my biceps so I can fit into the discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Me
so we've just been having a friendly discussion about something. We're not going to solve this problem.
No, it's been like thousands of years.
Right.
Literally.
The first split in the church was not Protestant and Catholic. It was Catholic and Orthodox. And it was over images of Jesus.
Yes. So
The second
it's literally
commandment forbids graven images. And people are debating at the Gospel Coalition whether or not images of Jesus are okay. Okay. So one of the guys in here uses syllogism to form an argument. It's a form of logic. Syllogism derives from the Greek word syllogismos. Syllogismos. I love when we do that. Just put an ismos at the end and it's fine. Meaning conclusion or inference. It's a simple deductive reasoning type of thing. So, for example, here's how syllogism works. All roses are flowers. Okay. This is a rose. I'm holding a flower. It's logic. Roses are flowers. I've got a rose. I'm holding a flower. Here's another one. All cars have wheels. I drive a car. My car has wheels. Simple illustrations, but it's logic, right? Here's another one. All insects frighten me. Lauren's like, wow, hits home. That is an insect. I'm frightened.
Okay.
Got it?
I got it.
But these fall apart. There's also syllogistic fallacies.
Sure.
These don't always work. So, for example,
It's not every time.
Richard likes Germany. Richard likes all German things. If Richard likes Germany, then he must drive an Audi.
Right, yeah. Just because it's a German product doesn't mean he's driving that.
All crows are black. The bird in my cage is black. This bird is a crow.
That's right. Because
See?
not all birds are crows. Or
Not all
all
blackbirds are crows.
Thank you.
See? So this guy, I brought this up because the person who's against images of Jesus in the Gospel Coalition uses syllogism to prove his point. So here's his first one. Remember, Lauren read us the second commandment. the graven images thing.
Would you like me to read it again?
No, it's okay. I think people have it. So, here's his syllogism. God forbade making images of himself. Christ is God. Therefore, God forbade making images of Christ. Are we
say it
convinced?
again?
God forbade making images of himself.
Mm-hmm.
Christ is God. Therefore, God forbade making images of Christ. You can't make images. Jesus is God. Therefore, you can't make images of Jesus. Does that convince you? He has two more. God appears to his people in human form. God prohibited his people from making human images of him. Therefore, God appearing in human form doesn't permit us to make images of him. Like the idea that he became a person. He became form in
just
Christ.
because he becomes human form doesn't mean he's not God.
Or that we can't make images of him. I mean, before Jesus, God becoming Jesus, right? We didn't have any images because even when you look at the Old Testament, you have depictions, but they're...
We're not going to say God becoming Jesus.
Sorry. I fix it. Go.
Okay. Jesus
is God.
Is God. God has always
took
existed.
On human form.
God took on human form. Yes.
It's important. I'm glad you corrected that. Thank you. Last syllogism. Jesus is God, the Son, who took on human nature. The second commandment forbids making images of anyone in the category of God. Therefore, we cannot make images of God the Son. Do we like this?
I'm having trouble.
I mean, for me, what's more convincing is that it says you shall not make an image of anything in heaven. So that would prohibit God that would prohibit Jesus, angels, any, seraphim, anything.
Well, there's another piece here, right? So somebody says, oh, no, of course you can do this. In his introduction, he talks about how biblical literacy is down. Literacy is down.
Yeah.
People are very image-driven.
That's true.
And so we need, not only do we need images to help spread the gospel, but images of Jesus can be used to retell biblical narratives, illuminate biblical ideas without violating the second commandment.
This is the same guy.
It's a different person.
Oh, this is a different person. Okay, thank you.
And he says, fortunately, the second commandment explains itself. He says, when God prohibits graven images, he says it's because he's a jealous God. An idol diverts glory away from the one to whom it belongs and toward a false object. God forbids idols because he refuses to share his glory with anyone or anything, even an image that ostensibly represents him. But in this case, he's saying ultimately, a depiction of Jesus, let's just say in The Chosen, does not divert glory from God.
It's trying to help.
Right.
Point to him.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if you see like a gorgeous Renaissance painting of Jesus, maybe some people are, but I think a lot of people are thinking about the artist and the artistry as opposed to pointing glory to the one who made the artist.
Mm-hmm. So as an illustration, he said, remember the movie Oppenheimer?
Oh, yeah, great movie.
He says, nobody watches Oppenheimer and praises or blames the film for the creation of the atomic bomb. Viewers distinguish Oppenheimer the film from Oppenheimer the man.
Okay.
Even if they were to picture Cillian Murphy's face when thinking of Robert Oppenheimer, they could still easily distinguish the two individuals.
Mm-hmm.
As in he's saying, we're smart enough to get it. That it's a fictitious depiction of a real event.
And yet there are still people that will, I think, use an image. Even if they're not worshiping the image, they will use it as a method, like, to worship Jesus.
Right, which is why, it's a related reason as to why you stopped watching.
Right.
And it's why some people are like, oh, I can't even let my kids watch the Chronicles of Narnia because there's magic stuff in it and it's all fictitious and all that. I can't do it. Perhaps the answer is the eye of the beholder and the proclivity towards sin of the individual.
Yeah, I think so.
If you are tempted to ultimately begin being distracted by images and actually starting to depict Jesus as the image itself, that might be a problem for you.
Mm.
But for me, I get that illustration of Oppenheimer. It's like, I don't watch the movie and blame the movie for the atomic bomb or think that Cillian Murphy was Oppenheimer. Or even if I were to picture Oppenheimer as being Cillian Murphy, the actor, I know it's not him.
Right.
So I could watch The Chosen and totally be fine, like Ron is, because I know it's an actor.
Right.
It's helping me connect to Jesus in a fresh way. And I don't worship the actor or the film. I worship Jesus, the Lord himself.
Amen.
Lauren's been doing lots of flipping and reading. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm just reading the Moody Bible commentary on this passage.
On Graven Images? What did you learn?
It's a lot. It's a very long description, actually, for just these couple of verses. Basically, it says, idolatry is unacceptable because any attempt to depict or represent God, especially for the ostensible purpose of worship, not only falls short of the truth about God, but inevitably distorts the worshiper's understanding of God. God is spirit. Thus, any physical representation will misrepresent him and lead to false notions about him. All idols are thus false gods, and even an idol meant to depict or represent a true God by some carving, statue, or any other physical representation is deforming the truth about God. The prohibition extends to any likeness of creatures, heavenly, earthly, or sea. The three tiers of existence, heaven, that is the atmospheric heaven, not the spiritual place, earth and water, or the mythological locations of those Egyptian gods that had been defeated in the plagues.
Yeah, I mean, I can look at that and still say, if your church says, all right, everybody, let's turn and face this painting of Jesus and worship it, you got a problem.
Yeah.
You got a major violation sin going on.
That's a big problem.
But if you have a painting on the wall somewhere in the church, a beautiful painting that involves a scene from the Bible, and it's there, it's not a problem. If you're not facing it and bowing. I think that's an argument that could be made, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think we just have to be really cautious.
Maybe we're not cautious enough, is what you're saying.
I think so. We can't just, we can't rely on images of Jesus, images of God to get us by, to get us through.
Because when you look at those few individuals in world history who've had an encounter with the Lord, it's indescribable. They can't even look at him.
Or they said, now I'm going to die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you know what? At the end of the day, I think I'm with you. I think we just need to exercise more caution.
It's obvious. It's very obvious that we already have it wrong about what he looked like. So maybe just rein it in a little bit.
There you go. It's 8:03. We got to get to Ron's news in today's Moron Moment. Dave Szfranski will answer your financial questions, and you'll hear a story of manhood.
We'll see.
440-546-2255.
Mornings with Brian on Moody Radio Cleveland, WCRF Cleveland, WVMS Sandusky, WVML Millersburg, WVMN Newcastle, WVME Meadville, WVMU Ashtabula, and everywhere with the Moody Radio app or at moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
United and Delta Airlines are canceling flights to Tel Aviv. It's 8:04. I'm Ron Eastwood, Moody Radio News. The move was announced yesterday amid rising tensions between Israel and Iran. United Airlines says it will suspend all service to Tel Aviv until further notice, citing security reasons. A spokesperson for Delta says their suspension will run through Friday, August 2nd, due to ongoing conflict in the region. An Elyria man is dead following a crash yesterday afternoon on the Ohio Turnpike. The Highway Patrol reports that 92-year-old Kenneth Klingshern was riding as a passenger in a vehicle when they rear-ended a disabled tractor tanker in Ottawa County. And a beloved Lakewood restaurant will soon be closing its doors. Salt opened in Detroit Avenue location in 2016 and then went on to become a staple in the community, as well as receiving several James Beard Award nominations. The restaurant's owners say the decision to close them cuts to the core, but change is inevitable. I'll be right back with sports and weather.
We'd love for you to help us fill a van full of school supplies to help the children at Laura's Home succeed this school year. Bring your school supply donations to Laura's Home on August 6th or 7th between 4 and 6 p.m. You can also stop by on Tuesday, August 6th from 6 to 9 a.m. to meet the Mornings with Brian team during our live broadcast at Laura's Home. For the list and location, text SUPPLIES to 440-546-2255 or visit our website, moodyradio.org/Cleveland.
In sports, the Pirates lost to the Astros 5-4, and the U.S. added 4 more medals at the Paris Olympics, continuing to sit atop the leaderboard with 30 total medals. That's 5 gold, 13 silver, and 12 bronze. France is now just 4 behind them with 26 total medals, and China sits third with 19 medals, but they now lead the gold race with 9. Here's your Moody Radio Cleveland forecast. Mostly sunny this morning, then partly sunny with a slight chance of showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. It's going to be hot with highs in the lower 90s. At last check, clear skies and 74 degrees in Cleveland, 73 Akron and Canton, 73 in Ashtabula as well.
It's time for your moron moment.
How will you celebrate Spider-Man Day on August 1st? Spider-Man entered the comic universe in issue 15 of Marvel Comics' Amazing Fantasy. That was in August of 1962, when I was just almost 1 year old. The groundbreaking story caught the attention of readers when it featured an awkward, antisocial teenager as its superhero. And since then, Peter Parker has not aged, but I sure have. If nothing else, Spider-Man has taught us one thing. With great power comes great responsibility. And that's your Moron Moment. And you'll find that on our Facebook and Instagram. It's 8:07 with Moody Radio News. I'm Ron.
Mornings with Brian. Moody Radio Cleveland. 103.3 at 6 to 9 a.m.
The opinions expressed during this program represent the opinions of the participants and is given for informational purposes only. Any information provided is not intended to replace professional advice for your specific situation.
Dave Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group, here to answer your financial questions. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Szfranski.
My eyes already twitching.
Just for the record, that disclaimer is a bunch of hooey. Okay?
It's actually not. It's,
it's
official.
I already warned you.
It's official hooey.
I've warned you.
You warned me.
You've been put on warning already.
For one little thing I said before we even, I don't trust you to behave.
Yes, exactly. My eyes already twitching.
That's been happening
for the next
behind
45
the
minutes.
Don't worry. I can distract him in just a moment. But let me tell you, this is the time for you to ask your financial questions to David Szfranski, president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. Call or text with them. Why would I bring that up? Because we're out of questions.
Guys.
We need questions.
We can't.
I can think of
ask
one,
them
but
without them.
that's not very fun.
No.
We want your questions.
What happens is a lot of people after the show will call my office and say, I was going to call, but...
No,
call
do that.
now.
Call right now.
Yeah,
then you can
call
talk
now.
to Daria, too.
440-546-2255, 440-546-2255. Daria keeps saying to me, Brian, please tell the story.
No one said that.
Please. I'm like,
I have
fine.
not said that once this morning.
You were
You were
thinking
a liar. No.
You were thinking
Daria.
Major manhood story yesterday.
Please, go ahead.
Look at the skepticism in her face, Dave.
Yeah,
Please.
I saw it right away. Actually,
Please
I'm
share.
offended.
palpable.
I'm driving home yesterday.
How manly of you.
I know.
Dave, stop touching stuff, dude.
Sorry.
It's the wrong button, Dave.
That's the
I'm
speaker
sorry.
one. It's the other one.
Okay.
I'm driving home on 480. Traffic's moving quickly. There's construction everywhere. And I hear a very loud noise, like I ran over something.
Oh, no.
I'm looking around me, my rearview mirror, nothing in the road.
So you didn't hit a person?
Didn't know what it was.
Because that could really damage
possum.
your car.
I listened for a minute. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I got to get home. I have to get my daughter to the dentist.
Sure.
It's a long drive. I got to go out there, go back to Aurora, blah, blah, blah. There's a warning light. I look, you push all the buttons. Tire pressure dramatically lowering in the driver's side rear tire.
No, you had
As
flat
in, the warning
tire.
says, pull over immediately.
Oh, no.
And so I managed to, as it's down to
My
like
greatest fear, honestly.
20 PSI, 19 PSI,
Yes.
18 PSI. I'm like, well, I can't stop right here in 480. You know, where like 271 and 422, there's this big separation.
Oh,
all
there's a
these
lot
lanes.
going on there.
You can't just pull over there. And there's construction.
Lauren,
so
Lauren has
shoulder.
no idea what you're
No,
talking
I have no
about.
idea. I stay on my 2 roads. Thank you.
So I take the first exit, find a parking lot. I'm down to like 12 PSI.
Oh, no, Brian.
And I'm like, what am I going to do? I have to get my daughter to the dentist. You know, getting a dentist appointment is the hardest thing in the whole
Right.
world. So I say, I'm a man. I'm going to get this done. So I change the tires quick as I can, put the spare on, that little tiny baby donut tire.
Yeah.
I put on the, get in the car, take off, still got her to the dentist on time. Well, 5 minutes late. Bam! You would have called for help. I just did it.
Hey, where are you from, Brian? Where did you grow up?
Minnesota.
You know how you know that the toothbrush was invented in Minnesota?
Why?
Because if it was invented anywhere else, it'd be called the teeth brush.
That's really good.
So it took the dentist like 1 moment to look at your daughter's one tooth. Yeah, the tooth looks good.
But hold on.
Take care of that one tooth.
I changed the tire fast enough that I still got my daughter to her appointment basically on
Very
time.
exciting.
No, that was tough manliness.
It's manly. That's changing a tire is manly.
Efficiently.
Uh-huh.
I've never changed tire in this car. Had to use brute strength with the tools
Brian.
that came in the vehicle, which are subpar tools.
Oh, yeah, they definitely
to
are.
even get the lug nuts
But
off.
changing a tire in a car is the same no matter the car, unless you're driving an EV. Then your car weighs like 7,000 pounds and you need a small crane to lift your car.
But Dave, again, this is not like an industrial jack. This is not.
Yeah, this is the kind like you crank, like you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And I loosened the lug nuts with brute force and strength.
Did you jump on the lug wrench?
Only for one of the.
I
only
knew
for
it!
one of the
I
lugs.
knew it!
One of the lugs.
Yes.
The other ones, I just brute force moved them off. Come on, ladies, let's go.
I have said great job like 4 times already. I don't know what,
I think you
more
thought it.
Brian
Roll the
needs...
tapes, Ron. Roll the tapes. I have said it.
Lauren.
Yes.
You seem like you're an intuitive, smart person.
Okay.
You seem that way.
Okay.
But you're proving me wrong because obviously Brian needs a lot of affirmation, like epic levels of...
We talked about this yesterday, Brian.
And the Lord keeps
He
pairing
needs
me.
overdose levels of affirmation.
We talked about
And
this
you
yesterday,
refuse
Brian.
to provide it.
I said great job. I don't know. I said it like 4 times.
Could you use a little
I said,
emotion,
"Oh wow,
a
great
little
job."
feeling?
No, I never do.
It just seems
it's my personality.
disingenuous.
I don't really have much emotion.
The Lord keeps pairing me with colleagues who it's painful for them to be nice to me.
Maybe that's you problem.
Yeah, what's the common denominator here?
Apparently it's
We
me.
got to take a break. Real quick break.
Real
Because
quick.
questions are flowing in here, people.
And then we're going to get to the questions that you finally asked. 440-546-2255.
Her name is Jenny, and maybe like you, she and her husband got tired of their health care getting more and more expensive, so they did it. They went with MediShare.
We signed on with MediShare in March, had a really great experience. It was super easy to get going with them. And then in October of that same year, we found out that I had stage 3 breast cancer.
We were put at ease with MediShare, guiding us and walking with us and saying that they were going to be praying for us.
It's very intentional how they try to bless people when they know this is one of the hardest things that they're going through.
They and their 4 kids thank the Lord, not only for her healing and how he provided for them, but she says it makes her emotional just realizing how she gets to pay it forward.
What we put towards MediShare is going to be blessing another mom, and they're going to show up for her the way that they showed up for me.
You save a lot, and you're part of something really, really good. Call now. It's 877-58-BIBLE. That's 877-58-BIBLE. 877-58-BIBLE.
You can listen to nonstop Christian music anytime, anywhere, through your phone or mobile device.
Signal processing.
Imagine some of your favorite Christian songs being streamed for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Just go to where you get your apps and download the free Moody Radio app. Open up the app, select the Praise and Worship channel, and start listening to your favorite Christian music right here, right now. It's the Praise and Worship channel from Moody Radio.
I am David Szfranski, a real American, a true red-blooded patriot, and the voice you could trust. Yes, yes, and yes.
And we can guarantee you that Lauren will never be impressed with Dave.
I
or
played
anything at all.
I was first chair alto sax in Ohio State Fair Band.
Oh, cool.
Ohio State Fair Band. Let's be clear, it wasn't Ohio State University.
Wait, Brian, obviously you don't understand what you're saying right now. It's very difficult to get into the fair band. It's a great honor.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm very
You go to the
impressed.
state fair and you play your instrument for a month straight, like 20 times a day. You're marching around and playing at different events.
Dave, as impressed as I am, we do have a lot of questions.
Okay,
coming
let's
in.
go.
Okay, 440-546-2255. Let's go to Tom in Cleveland. Tom, what's your question for Dave?
My sister is a widow, and her and her husband had purchased some CDs, which are going to be coming mature, I believe, in March or May, somewhere in that area. My thought was get out of the CDs as soon as they mature and go into a money market or something similar. Would you recommend that or no?
Well, when there's a death, especially a spouse, I think it's a great time it's an important time to really just look at all of your finances and see what would fit best from this point on, because things have changed dramatically. And so what I would do is I would sit down and look at her budget, look at her spending, see how much emergency fund she needs to have. It is a unique period in time where you can make money off of a money market right now. So you could get a money market that pays about I looked yesterday, right before the close of business, about 5.3%.
That's really good. That's better than CDs, isn't it?
Well, it depends on the CD. It's close, yeah. But the thing about a money market is it's 100% daily liquid, so you could take your money out every day if you wanted to. The downside to a money market is that the rate is variable, so it changes also. If you buy a 1-year CD, you're going to get that rate for 1 year. So I happen to like when there's a big change in family situation like this, I like liquidity. I would rather have the liquidity than the rate. So I want return of principal instead of return on principal right now. And I think I would do a snapshot of these finances for his sister to say, okay, here's what we got. Here's what's going to be in your best interest going forward because everything has changed. This is one of those times where you do a full stop and look at everything that you're doing. What should I do from here on? That's what I would do.
There it is. All right, let's go now to Valerie in Medina. Valerie, what's your question for Dave Szfranski?
Hi, I got to turn my radio down. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
My question is, I'm reaching full retirement age to draw Social Security in October. And I have a job that's very hard on me physically, and I'm trying to decide whether to just either quit, but I want to delay my Social Security to get the extra 8% a year. But does it make sense to draw from your 401k as needed, since you're going to have to take tax on it anyway, to just kind of get through until I turn 70?
How old are you now?
I'm 56.
Okay, 56.
Like same age as you.
No, it's not actually. It's not the same age as me.
Okay.
As you know, Brian, I'm 45-ish.
I think it actually is the same age.
You guys have never once correctly guessed my age. Never once.
Okay. Let's help Valerie there. 56.
Valerie, well, at 56,
you know.
You could take out of your 401k, but there's a 10% penalty if you do it before you're the age of 59 and a half. And
That's a
there's
big
one
penalty.
thing that really fries my cookies, and that's paying a penalty on my own money. You know, when you go to the bank, like when bank machines first came out, these ATM machines, they were free. It was like the first hit of a drug. You know, they got everybody hooked, and then they said, "Oh, by the way, now it's $3 to get your money out." And I thought, I'm never using an ATM again because I'm not going to pay to get my own money out. Now, there is a way to do it. There's this rule called the Equal and Substantial Distributions Rule. I'm sure you've heard of it, Brian. You probably read about it a lot.
My favorite rule.
And you could take money out of a qualified plan, like a 401k early, but you have to do it for 5 years or until you turn 59 and a half, whichever is longer. So in this case, you'd have to do it for 5 years. I think what I would do is I would gut this job out as long as I could. And if you're not going to do that, I would find a job that is a little bit less physically taxing because it's young to retire. 56 is young to walk away from the job force, absent of some kind of physical disability, something like that. And if that's the case, you could apply for disability. And I might consider that. If physically you're unable to work, then apply for disability. If it's this job, then while you're working this job, I'm going to find something else. But it's really young to walk away from the job force.
I have a question. I
Yes,
thought
Lauren?
Valerie said she was going to reach full retirement age in October, which would make her 66, about to be 67. Ron, can you bring Valerie back up? Valerie, did you say you're 56 or 66?
I said 66.
66.
Yeah, that's a whole different scenario.
Yeah.
But she wants to get the extra 8% at 70.
Yeah. We do this calculation for
So I guess we
people
should
all
back
the
up
time.
and start over.
Yeah.
We're not going to get all excited about Lauren being right, though, because she
everything
doesn't
I
get excited
said
for us.
up until this point, just ignore.
About changing a tire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do what my wife does, ignore everything I've said up until
Yes,
this point.
exactly.
It's funny because
I would like Rob Fenn to send me clapping hands, please. Thank you.
every once in a while, LaVon will look at me and she'll say, "David, you're not on the radio right now." I'm like, "I'm always on the radio. I
Does she
am
really
always
say that?
on. Always
Thankfully,
on."
that is not LaVon is true. the
Yeah.
listener.
Yes. She's
I've
like,
had my wife say, "This is not your radio show."
I'm sorry.
Just
but you're
recently,
wrong.
she said that to me.
Yes. Okay, 66. So I like to look at how long, what's the lifespan of your family? You know, people are living till 74 or you've had some terminal illness or something like that. It's better to take Social Security earlier. And you can do these, this is a very easy calculation to do because if you're 66 and you start taking it now, you're going to have it for 4 years right? You'll be getting Social Security for 4 years. If you delay to 70, you could just say, well, how long is it going to take me to make up those 4 years that I could have had it? And that's a very easy calculation to do. And if you have an account on SSA.gov, you can print off your Social Security earnings and see what you would get now versus waiting to 70. And it's a pretty easy calculation. So let's say that you waited till 70, but it was going to take you 15 years to make it up. I would take it now.
By the way, Dave, side note, while I took my daughter to the dentist, I dropped her off, got the tire, all 4 tires done because I had factory tires still and I have a lot of miles. Anyway, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Paid 0 sales tax on it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It is good.
Good time to get tires.
Anytime you could avoid paying tax legally, you should do it.
I did it.
You know
I was very excited.
You know what the government does with your money? They waste it. It's wasted.
In this case, they don't get to because I didn't have to pay any sales tax on the purchase of 4 new tires.
Tires?
She's impressed with that. I know I could get you.
You know what you have in common with your
money,
car
please.
and your tires?
What?
You know what you have in common with your car and your tires?
Here we go.
You all have a lot of miles on you.
You're full of lines today. Look at you.
All right.
Lots of miles.
Next question. Based upon the Fed meeting yesterday, is there a chance of recession or chances of a recession?
Well, that's Rick from Shalersville. Love Rick. I've met him
Rick
before.
from Shalersville. Hey, Rick.
He's got Great Danes. They're beautiful dogs.
Yeah, big dogs. You know, they're good apartment dogs because they don't need a lot of exercise.
Neither do I.
They like to lounge around.
Yes. You need it. You just don't do it. There's a big difference. And true or false, your daughter had to loosen one of those lug nuts yesterday for you.
No, I did it by myself with the tool in the car. Not a proper tool. Thank you.
I just do it with my fingers, just loosen the lug nuts. So anyway, the meeting yesterday. Who had the meeting? Chair Powell! Yes. That was so loud. So
You just scared someone off the road, Dave.
Yeah, that's good. My job is done here then.
I'll
I'm
have
out.
to change a tire. I know how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, but if you hit something, if you hit the guardrail right then, could you yank your bumper off the guardrail?
Probably.
My little friend Henry is really good at saying Chair Powell. Chair Powell! That's Henry. He's going to be an economist someday, I'm pretty sure of it. There is, things are slowing down. The unemployment rate is up a little bit. The Fed, it's not really the Fed that is so concerned about it. It's the market that is so concerned about the rate or the rate of unemployment rising, but it's still traditionally very low. What's so funny? What did I do?
No,
not you.
Not you. We'll get to it in a minute. Keep going.
So, is there a chance of recession? Yeah, there is. The economy's slowing down, and here's what happened with the Fed and Chair Powell.
Just once is good.
For you, not for me. They waited so long to raise rates that everything got out of hand. And people are really genuinely worried that they're going to wait too long to cut rates because rates are, they're higher than probably what they need to be right now. But the rate of inflation is still higher than the target. So inflation hasn't come down one bit. Inflation is still rising. So since for 3.5 years, since the Biden administration came in, we've had accelerated, elevated inflation, and that hasn't come down. You go to the grocery store, costs are still up 25%. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about on my podcast today, Lauren, is the two versions of America that are emerging. The version of America that is really subject to and being affected negatively, significantly negative effects of inflation, and another version of America that's not. And what that means. So is there a chance of a recession? Absolutely, there's a chance of a recession. And when the Fed starts lowering rates, that tells you that they're worried about a recession. And things are kind of deteriorating. If you look at small business bankruptcies this year, they're up 60% year over year. If you look at job growth, it is all government job growth. And the part that isn't, the private sector job growth is mainly part-time. These are not things that you want to see in your economy. We are not creating good, full-time, long-term jobs right now. We're just not doing it. And There's a lot of reasons for it. I'm not going to go into them here because I get yelled at by Lauren and I get the death stare. Yes.
Join the club, bro. I get that
the
stare every
only
day.
time she gets emotional with me is she shows no emotion until I say, "Oh, and the reason why," and I look over and she's just staring at me.
The first warning I got on this job was you, so keeping you in line. So,
all right, we got to get
take
to
it very seriously.
I'm in line.
Did you finish that?
Yeah, I think I'm finished.
Okay.
There's a chance of a recession.
Are you done yet?
And go ahead. You can share Leanne's comment.
Yes, I can.
This is what we laughed at, Dave.
Brian and his tires also have a lot of hot air.
Yes. That's a good one, Leanne. We could keep this going for a long time.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
All right, 8:33. We've got a quick break. We'll come back with more of your financial questions. 440-546-2255.
We are people that are in Christ, and that Christ is in us. And that's what makes us different.
This is FEBC Today with Ed Cannon, the president of the Far East Broadcasting Company.
Wayne, that was one of FEBC's broadcasters who's ministering primarily in the Muslim world. Interesting, his comment is, we are in Christ and Christ is in us, which is what makes us different. And considering he's ministering to Muslims, that's exactly right. Let's hear a little bit more of what he has to say.
Your listeners can pray for us that God will allow us to begin more Bible studies where they can really be in the Word. Part of the thing with the culture here is that people's authority is really based upon other people's opinions of what God's Word says. They're kind of like, well, we're on the outside, we're not really smart enough to understand or to know, and so we need other people to tell us what we're supposed to believe. And so we're trying to help them to change, to have their loyalties to be what they read in God's Word, and that they would be like the Bereans who would actually open up. I'm not totally going to be trusting you. I'm going to look for myself and make sure that what you say says here in the written Word of God.
The importance of what he's saying here is that you must understand the culture that you're ministering into. And for decades, that's been one of the primary strategies of FEBC's broadcasters. Understand the audience, know where they're coming from, and know how best to speak the gospel to them so that when they hear the word, they'll come to faith in Christ.
There's much more on these interviews on Reaching Muslims. Listen to our podcasts number 198 and 199 to hear the full interviews. It's all at febc.org. Once again, look for Until All Have Heard, number 198 and 199, the podcast which is located at febc.org.
It's not insurance, and that's a new way of thinking for some families. Christian Healthcare Ministries is a credible way to meet family healthcare costs affordably, biblically, and effectively, whether starting or growing your family. Serving families as a nonprofit healthcare sharing ministry for over 40 years, CHM has offered families the freedom to choose how they would like to meet healthcare costs. Be pleasantly surprised and find answers to your questions at chministries.org/Moody. That's chministries.org/Moody.
Reading the Bible is essential, reading the whole Bible. But some Old Testament books like Numbers and Leviticus can be so overwhelming and confusing that maybe you've skipped them. Christiane Yabwile is a teacher who loves God's Word and has written a 6-week study to understand the Old Testament books of the law. Christy teaches that the law wasn't just for those people back then, it's for believers today. Pick up a copy of Delighting in God's Law at moodybooks.org.
And I've always made this promise to Moody listeners. I don't charge anybody to come and see me or to talk to me or anything like that from Moody Radio because a lot of people don't know who to talk to. And so if they call me and talk to me over the phone, I have no skin in the game. I have nothing to gain or to lose by talking to them. I want to make sure people have a place to go. I want to make sure people have a resource to use so that they don't get cheated and robbed and taken advantage of, because I think that Christians should care for Christians. I think that we should reach out to the people who don't know where to go so that they have some place to go. That's what we do. We take care of our own.
Oh, Dave, what a guy.
Yeah, by the way, I'm charging everybody now.
I'm just He's not. 440-546-2255. What's the next one, Lauren?
Not sure if Dave could explain the benefits of investing early and consistently in an IRA or 401k plan for my teenage sons.
Listen, why do you think I couldn't explain that? What is it about me that you think I couldn't explain? I could talk about, you could just throw out a subject and I will talk about it. Maybe say nothing of importance for the next 45 minutes. So,
but the earlier you start investing, the better, no matter what.
time value of money, Brian, right there. Boom.
Next question.
Boom,
basically,
shakalaka.
right?
The earlier you start, let's say
Please
that
don't
you
say
have
that.
a goal of $1 million.
By the way, keep saying that. She loved
Boom
it.
shakalaka?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she loved it.
It's old school. You had the $1 million goal. And you said, well, I'm going to start when I'm 20, saving for that $1 million goal. And then your neighbor said, well, I got more important things to do. I'm going to start when I'm 35. The 20-year-old has to save a lot less money to get to the $1 million because they started earlier. And your money gets interest, it compounds, it grows. That's the time value of money. The sooner you start, the less you have to save to achieve your goals. And then let's say you were 20 and you only saved for 15 years. You're still going to save a lot less money to get to the $1 million than the 35-year-old. So it is really important to start saving, just like people in Chicago vote, Brian, early and often. Early and often.
Boom
Yes.
shakalaka.
Yes. And
That's
somewhere
Lauren's
along
cue.
the way, allow that kid to buy a new set of golf clubs because that's what he really needs.
As a reward for getting ready early for
No,
investing.
just everybody needs a new set of golf clubs. New technology comes out almost every year.
And Eddie needs tools.
Yes.
Eddie Cuevas, your husband.
needs tools. He needs clamps, saws.
Yeah.
Not hand saws.
He doesn't even have a
get
tool
him-
belt.
He's
Doesn't even have a tool belt. Can you believe it?
What a sissy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I forgot to do anything with my I bond in May.
Oh.
How bad was that? Interest rate is down to 4.28. Should I do something soon?
So, first of all, what's an I bond?
An I bond is a government issued bond that you get a stated interest rate plus the rate of inflation. And they were really popular when the Biden administration was experiencing 9.5% inflation.
I can see why if it's
Yeah,
inflation
yeah.
plus.
So,
So she was supposed to do something. What does that mean? Like
they
it
just
came
come
due?
due. They just come due. They don't automatically renew.
What happens if you don't go in there and do something with it?
Nothing. That just your bond comes due and
It just sits there and waits for you, or
no.
it renews.
Generally, if you buy it directly from the government, you have to have set up your bank account with them at Treasury Direct, and they'll just redeposit the money in your bank account. So when you buy a bond, it happens. Like when I buy a bond in an account, the money comes out in a half of a second. The money, that's how much the government wants your money. They're taking no chances of a second guess. So you say purchase, it's bam, it's out of your account. And when it comes due, it goes back into your account that fast too.
So she should just check. It's probably already there.
It's probably in her account, yeah.
So it's not like it rolls over if you don't do anything and starts
right.
over again.
It does not roll
Okay.
over. And I wouldn't buy, I-bonds are not really a great deal right now. I would not buy them.
I would not buy
I see what I did there.
them. Boom
I-bond,
shakalaka. Huh, Lauren?
iPad,
Yeah.
iPhone, I-bond. I was cleaning out an old storage place in my office, and I found an iPack. Did you ever see the iPack?
You already told us this story.
I don't remember.
An
this.
iPack.
Brian, that's not saying much. You forget things
This
that you
was
did
from
yesterday.
like 2 weeks ago.
Yes, thank you, Daria.
Did I?
Yeah.
Yes.
iPack.
Yes.
iPack. Because I remember when the iPad came out, it was kind of like a weird name.
Yeah.
Yes, we had this whole conversation.
Yeah.
And
Let's
I
move on.
literally looked it up.
That's right. Well, we were talking things
No
about.
memory of that at all.
Is it necessary to get home title protection?
I wish it wasn't. I don't. You know,
Home title protection.
there are so many
Obviously not for Brian.
scams. There's a scam out there called pig butchering right now that I just identified. Somebody was
What?
a victim of. They were telling me, "Oh yeah, this is what I do. I do this and we do that." And I said, "You're never getting your money back. It's pig butchering. It's not a very
Which is a real thing,
Yeah,
but you're saying this is a...
No, it's a scam that it's a total scam.
It has nothing to do with swine.
Nothing to do with swine.
Oh, you're just calling. It's not. The
It's the
scam
label.
isn't about butchering pigs.
It's like, hey, bring
No.
your money over here to these
Oh,
pigs,
okay,
and we're
okay.
gonna
So-
I understand.
let them eat
I
it.
got it.
These scams, a lot of these scams prey on a basic human emotion of greed. And virtually every scam that I've seen that involves money and somebody taking your money was they were promising something that is unrealistic, making it seem realistic. And you're looking up pig butchering?
No, of course not.
Oh, it's real. And so it's like a money manager says, oh, we're going to commingle all these funds. And then when we do these really high-end trades and we outperform the market, it's really hard to outperform the market consistently. It's just we have a very efficient market. And the information is pretty well known. The information that is not well known is when like a hedge fund will task a satellite to look at parking lots on Christmas. They do this. How many cars are in Walmart parking lot the days before Black Friday? It's not as important now because so many people buy online, so it's not as much of a thing. But we have a very efficient market. It's very difficult to outperform the market over the long term. So these people promise things that are undoable, and you give them your money, and then they say, "Oh yeah, you could have your money back, but you got to pay the tax because we have to do the sales." And it's all a lie. You're just getting scammed. And so, but as far as home title goes, is it? I don't have it. I don't know. Somebody could steal my title, I guess. It is possible. Documents get forged all the time by people. If it gives you peace of mind to get home title, one thing that you could do, I have a credit monitoring service through Costco because I love Costco.
I love Costco. I was going to go today.
Yeah. I'm going to go there and order a cake today, as a matter of fact. Guess what kind of cake I'm going to... There's only one kind of cake that I love at Costco.
I don't know.
The cakey one?
Oh, vanilla one.
Vanilla, yes.
How
did you know that?
Because you said it.
Oh.
Do you like chocolate or vanilla icing? Like, is the cake vanilla or is the icing?
It's white cake with vanilla frosting.
I see.
Yeah. They don't do it any other way there.
Oh, well.
It's either chocolate
so
or
you
it's
don't really
vanilla.
have a choice.
No. Well, you do have a choice, chocolate or vanilla.
Oh, okay.
So why would you choose
What's
chocolate?
the cake for? Just for fun?
No, we're having a little soiree.
Oh, a little soiree that none of us are invited to.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
My friend Rose, we're having a party for Rose at my house.
Shout out Rose.
Hey, Rose.
Hey, Rose.
Go, Rose.
Go, Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Was that the end of your question? Answer?
But you could get home title protection through a credit monitoring app. That's how I would do it. Well, there's a lot of them that offer it. I like Costco's because I did, as you know, I have somebody that tries to steal my identity.
Why they pick the hardest name to spell to steal, I don't know.
This is more about Social Security numbers than it is about names. And when I have a problem, I call and I get somebody in America. I get an American. You know how I'm not going to do it.
So
you get somebody here that you can understand. And so the guy says, well, I'm going to look into this and I'm going to get back to you. And I thought, I'm never going to hear from you again. 3 days later, the guy calls me back and he's like, hey, this is what we've done so far. This is what we're doing. This is what's going to happen. And everything he said happened. So I love this credit monitoring service through Costco.
You must have a really weird Social Security number, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
He was the first person
to
get a Social Security number.
111.
You guys have never
1111.
0000001.
Yes. You guys are so funny.
I know. That's one of the reasons we're on the radio.
Now we got to see a break.
440-546-2255. Dave Szfranski on Mornings with Brian.
Ladies, are you looking for spiritual encouragement? Moody Radio invites you to rejuvenate your faith and draw close to Jesus at Renew, the one-day conference for women, coming to Canton, Ohio, September 7th. Your spirit will be uplifted and your mind engaged as our keynote speakers share insights from God's Word that will inspire you to pursue godliness in your home, work, church, and community. You'll also spend time in worship with hundreds of godly women who, just like you, desire a deeper intimacy with Christ. Sign up today at moodyconferences.com/renew.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free. today.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-659-9838. That's 1-800-659-9838.
Live from the jungle. And our good friend, Cheer Pow! The kids all jump. Hey, little kid, Cheer Pow!
That's my favorite Dave line ever. Hey, little kid.
You scared that poor kid.
They didn't. Not only did they not speak my language, but they didn't speak the language of the people on the boat either. They spoke this
tribal language?
tribal language. So when I say, "Hey, little kid," all they see is this big white gringo.
Yeah, you're a scary
Hey,
person.
little kid.
Yeah, you're just kind of scary.
Well, you were more red at that point because of the sunburn. You were like bright
I
red.
didn't get sunburned. I'm very careful in the Amazon. Very. You could get a sunburn there,
It's
Bob.
so
Okay,
funny.
Dave.
Hey, little kid. All right.
Hey, little kid.
Did I hear correctly some time ago it's better to owe taxes than to receive a refund?
Friends
That's
don't
not what
let
you want, though.
Friends don't let friends get refunds.
You want someone to break even, not
Yes.
owe, right?
No, I don't. I want to owe $500.
Because during the year you're getting the most possible?
Yeah, you're. So if you owe just a few $100s, you've hit the nail on the head. You've cranked the
Right.
bullseye. You're basically a triple gold medal Olympian tax preparer if you owe $300 because you had the government's money all year long.
You are
Yes.
a pommel horse guy.
Yeah, you're Steven with the glasses. Steven with the Polish last name.
Clark Kent.
Yes, exactly.
Clark Kent.
That's what you're doing if you get $200
And
back.
even when he got on the pommel horse, I'm
well,
like,
he said 5, then 3, so I'm just lowering it again.
his arms are a little puny for. I mean, gymnasts are pretty.
Yes,
they're muscular people. Even the women are like really muscular. And Steven gets on the pommel horse, and I'm like, I think
flips all around.
We used to beat him up and take his lunch money.
Okay, well, that's rude. And now look at him.
He was amazing.
He has a silver medal now.
Well, I don't know about amazing.
He has a silver medal. How many do you have, Dave?
Amazing. It's not.
Dave's
I
gonna
mean,
start
there's-
making medals now instead of sashes. Okay, we got to get to questions here, Dave.
That's actually a great idea.
New idea. Corey, note
So-
to Corey, get me some medals.
It's better to owe taxes than to receive a refund.
Yes. Yes.
It's better to owe than to receive a refund.
Yes.
Okay, because you're
Yes.
getting the most money throughout the
Yeah,
year.
if you get a refund, that means the government held on to your money all year
That's right.
long.
Interest free.
Now, they pay you a little interest right now, but I don't want the government to have any more of my money than they should. I'm going to pay my taxes. I love this country. You know I love this country. Bald eagles eat on my beach. That's how much I love this country. And, and if you travel anywhere and you come back here, you realize how great it is. But the government wastes our money. I don't want to give them any more. It's patriotic to have a healthy distrust of your government.
Okay. I was given a savings bond in 1974.
Oh my gosh, what a bad gift. Who hated you that much? Why do they hate you?
Why is that so bad?
Por qué você me odeia?
But cannot find the paperwork. Can I find it through the internet in a government file?
74 may have been only paper, wouldn't it?
So there's a government warehouse that you can go to, and I don't know. You
don't know?
So they don't have the bond? They don't have the bond?
Doesn't seem like it.
They were gifted one in 1974.
Yeah, well, somebody probably took that bond and crumpled it up and used it for excess toilet paper. You know, like sometimes you run out and you're like, oh no.
I've never had that happen.
That's really dramatic. So what you're saying is you don't know.
You could go on treasurydirect.gov and see if there's a search tool. Put in your Social Security number and try that. There's this great joke where we take 1 square of toilet paper and
Are we back on this?
Why are we going back to this? Gee whiz.
Everybody on the mission trip gets 1 square a day. And then you rip out a little
can you
piece in the
spare a
center.
square? Yeah, okay.
And then so you kind of go like, and then the little piece is to clean your nail out. Lynn.
Okay, thank you.
So-
Next question. My company matches 6% of my 401k. I currently put in 13% of my pay.
Wow! That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Yes.
Should I only match the 6% and use the rest to open a Roth IRA?
So I like this line of thinking is exactly what I want people to. Yeah, this is where I want you going, because when 401ks first came out and the big companies were involved, they were great. You could get, there was a Fidelity 401k where you had access to all of their funds. They don't really do that anymore. So they've moved a lot to these target date funds, which I hate. I think they're horrible. I don't want to use them. So if you have a bad 401k, you're going to take the free money, the 6%, and then you're going to take the excess and you're going to open up a Roth IRA. So it really depends on how good your 401k is. If you have an annuity-based 401k, this is a no-brainer. You only put in what they match, and then you take the money and you do your own thing somewhere else.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Oh, that's too long of a question. Okay. I have
you're
to
going
read
to
it.
penalize somebody?
No, I have to read it, and I wasn't prepared to read it right then.
I mean, you're pretty good at reading most times.
Thank you. How do I start not getting a refund?
Increase your withholdings.
No, decrease your
That's
withholdings.
what I meant. Decrease.
Brian, he's here for a reason.
Well, I was just testing him, and he knew. It's actually decrease your withholdings.
Yeah, fill out a new W-9.
Do you recommend filing 0 exemptions?
I recommend there's a calculator on irs.gov where you could actually calculate your withholdings and see what would get you to 0 based on all your deductions and withholdings. So I would look at that, or I would work with the CPA one year and say, I want to get a $500 tax bill. And they're going to say, well, okay, most people I work with want to get refunds. And then your response is, most people you work with are not that smart. Okay? Not that smart. So I want my money now. It's my money. I should get to have it. And the government can wait on me instead of the other way around. So I would work with a CPA one year, or change your withholdings. Yeah, decrease them.
Okay. This is a long question. Do you have it on your screen just in case? Yes?
I
This
do.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 66.
I'm tired already.
I know. And you got mad at me for not being able to read. Okay. I'm 66 years of age, approaching a liquidity event in a couple of months with the sale of a business. Last year, I paid off my home mortgage and have no current debt. I started Medicare at 65 and began to collect Social Security. That started in December. Regarding investments, $50,000 in cash, $500,000 in investments, stocks, mutual funds, annuities, $500,000 home value. A new liquidity event will provide an additional amount over 3 times my current cash and investment savings. How should it be invested? Should I place the cash from the land and business sale into a money market and place into a stock market investment gradually over the next year or 2?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
No, I cannot. That's why I asked if you can read it.
So if I'm going to summarize this, he's in a great financial position.
He's selling a business.
And he's in a great financial position to begin with.
Yeah, he's got good finances. So I would look at what you want this liquidity event to do. Are you going to go back to work? Are you going to generate income someplace? 66 years old. It's still young to... I don't really believe in retirement the way that the world believes in retirement. I think it's a death trap, and I'm writing a book about it right now called The Sin of Retirement. Should be out November, December timeframe. We'll have some financial merch there too, shirts and such.
So excited for the merch.
Yes, I know you are.
Is it going to be Chair Powell?
Oh yeah, we got to have
that's yelling somehow.
We got to have a shirt with his face on it.
I'm kind of upset that you didn't think about this.
Chair Powell!
No, what you need is your face with a massive speech bubble saying Chair Powell.
And now I get 50% of the proceeds because I came up with the idea. I declared
my face, I could just see it now on billboards. There'll be a movie. I think, a lot of people say I look like Brad Pitt in his younger days.
No
so
one
he'll probably be.
No, I'm
has
sure
ever
he's
said
younger
that.
than you. Okay.
No.
Let us not stray too far. We only have 2 minutes. I need you to answer this question.
So we
Let us
need
not
to
stray
know.
too far.
Here's what I need to know. I need to know what you want the cash from this liquidity event to do, because that's going to determine where and how and what it gets invested in. And in the meantime, you can't just stick it in a money market. There's no risk in a money market.
While you wait to decide.
Yeah, why we wait? It's a holding tank. It's just a place it's a short-term place generally, although right now you can make money there. on a money. So people say, well, I've got $150,000 in my checking account at 0.1% interest. Well, you could put it in a money market, have the same access to it, and get 5.3%. Why would we not do that? Why would we not do it?
Now, I wonder, the place they wrote to for this advice, do they rely on like donations or how does that work again, Dave?
You could do a donation to Moody Radio.
It sounds like it wouldn't hurt.
What you should do is say, because of the great job and the new shirts that Brian has.
And the advice we get from David?
Yes.
You could go to moodyradio.org/Cleveland and even give a tiny little fraction of that, and it would still make a tremendous difference in this nonprofit, listener-supported ministry when you have that liquidity event. I need to use that more often during share. Did you just have a liquidity event? Come alongside and pick up the phone now. But seriously, we really would be grateful for people in that position where you can be generous.
Event, and my shoes are all wet from that liquidity event.
So you could donate. We'd be grateful for your financial support. It keeps us going on a daily basis. Okay.
It doesn't mean I had an accident.
moodyradio.org/Cleveland. moodyradio.org/Cleveland. We have 60 seconds, Lauren. You think you can do it?
Yes, I have an I-bond that has 2 different maturity dates, one in 2052 and one in 2053. Can you explain?
Oh my gosh.
That sounds like an error.
Wow. I can't believe
that's a long time
that you bought an I-bond for that long. Somebody needs to take the wallet out of your hands and talk to you.
Why are there 2 dates?
There's 2 bonds. It must be 2 bonds. It's got to be 2 different purchases because each bond has its own maturity date. So there's 2 bonds.
But you got a long time to worry about it. So.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything about it right now.
No, you can. You can sell a bond. So if you hold a bond to maturity, you're guaranteed your interest and the face value. If you sell a bond early, you could be subject to market fluctuations either up or down. Interest rates have come down. The bond's probably worth more. I would probably just sell that bond if you're in profit zone. Yeah, get out of it.
All right.
And don't do that again. Don't do that again.
Well, if not, call back in like 30 years, then maybe we'll talk again.
Well, I take such good care of myself. I think I'll live to be at least 150. So I am just really at the beginning.
5-6 years then. That's good.
Beginning of my career. So I'll be here. Brian will be dead because he's going to get hit on the side of the road changing his tire on 4.
No, I made a man decision and I pulled into a parking lot. That's what I did.
Oh, good.
440-546-2255. If you want to reach out to Dave, that's the best number to use. Just come to us. We'd be glad to connect you. David Szfranski is president and founder of Edgewater Investment Group. Thank you for your advice today, Dave.
Hey, you're welcome. New podcast coming out today.
It's Financial Revelations.
Oh, look at that, jinx.
Personal jinx. And thanks again for all your encouragement of me, like really accomplishing a lot yesterday. That it's nice to have
and
someone
your new
nearby.
shirts and that haircut.
Thanks. It's nice to have someone
get
nearby.
going here, guys.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
I've already shown you twice with my hands, so I got to say with my words now.